self-worth, compromising with what hurts inside. When you let fear decide your fate, you don't choose which path to take in life. I'm finally letting go of everything that still holds me. I'm against the odds, but I won't give up, 'cause it's my time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, and no one let me down. Destiny is calling highlight. I'm not afraid to fight for everything I love. Victory is on my side. The more we lose, the more we gain. The more that nothing stays the same. In time, can't love ever, can't forget. What you see is what you get. Sometimes, gonna show the world tonight, the light that shines inside us. We're against the odds, but we won't give up, 'cause it's our time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, can no one back us down. Destiny is calling highlight. We're not afraid to fight for everything we love. Victory is on our side. Takiki-takiki-takitao. 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 Everything that still holds us. 'Cause it's our time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, can no one back us down. Destiny is calling highlight. We're not afraid to fight for everything we love. Victory is on our side. It's our time to shine. Highlight. We're no strangers to the fallout. It's what got us here. Ever changing, some chameleon. Blood, sweat, and tears. We'll never make it if we fall to everything that brings us down. With a comeback is now. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing feel it deep flowing through my blood. Rising up to become someone, and taking it all on my own. What a sweet victory. And taking all of my control, awaken something deep in me.
Like flames, feel it burning inside. Take a hold in pursuit of the prize. I've been told, ain't no way to survive, keeping all of this fire that's locked up inside. When this is the time, enter the ring. All those mental chemicals doing their thing. I got flashes of battles inside of my dreams. I was made for this moment. At least now it seems like it's time to come face to face with your fear. Been battling reasons for all of the years, and I learned how to fight them with style and grace no one's ever encountered. You say it's amazing, I'ma come out swinging when they open the gate. Go ahead, call passion, I'm calling it rage. I'm taking what's mine like I already own it. Watch but don't blink, going here to the moment.
The sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment, the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are, you are.
My name is honor, my name is king, my name is champion, my name is strength.
Tell them who you are.
My name is Pentakill, you think it's strange? My name keep ringing inside of your brain.
I hear it every night. Here's to the moment the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. So tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go and tell them who you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are.
You've walked through the darkest nights. You've heard the crowd, felt the blinding light. You were standing there when your heart comes alive. It's a dream of a hat, and it never dies. Right here, right now, give it all, get it out. Never a surrender, I fight and never fail. I am a contender, a challenge I can feel. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies, relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies, relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. On my way, find my way, find my way. On my way, on my way. Dream my way, dream my way. Never a surrender. I find it never fail. I'm a contender. And change I can feel. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies. Grenadity. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king.
Kings, it's an honor showtime.
You can cheat.
First blood, double trouble, then I take a pen, I kill. All you do is sweat and look at me stay with the rain.
Say.
I've triggered my soul down.
For my pace.
We the champions, screaming, I'm invincible. Just let them know I can show you all the glory I own. So the drunk go find a way to the party's I'm waiting. Go, live from how can we go? It ain't a river, tiny bag. Storm is coming, tired of your cold. It's my kingdom, fire, blow it up.
We the kings, it's an honor showtime.
In this world, only ones in this world, only ones in this call out my name, cut through the sound of the rain. No matter how I feed the flame, you know I feel the darkness and the pain. All of the ways we tried to break free from the night, you know we never
I got everything I need. It's alright, I'm on fire, I'm alive, 'cause now I fly so high, so high. Light up the skyline, let's do it this time, like it's a whole new colorful world. Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world. Never thought we'd get this far, burning like the stars. How we get this far, like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world.
What's a life without its worth? Compromising with what hurts inside, inside. When you let fear decide your fate, you don't choose which path to take in life. In life, I'm finally letting go of everything that still holds me. I'm against all odds, but I won't give up, 'cause it's my time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, and no one let me down. Destiny is calling high. I'm not afraid to fight for everything I love. Victory's on my side. The more we lose, the more we gain. The more that nothing stays the same. In time, in time. Can't love ever, can't forget. What you see is what you get. Sometimes, sometimes. Gonna show the world tonight, the light that shines inside us. We're against the odds, but we won't give up, 'cause it's our time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, can no one back us down. Destiny is calling high. We're not afraid to fight for everything we love. Victory's on our side. Takiki takiki takita. Takiki takiki takita. Takiki takiki takita. Takiki takiki takita. Everything else still holds us. 'Cause it's our time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, can no one back us down. Destiny is calling high. We're not afraid to fight for everything we love. Victory's on our side. It's our time to shine. High light. We're no strangers to the fallout. It's what got us here. Ever changing, some chameleon. Blood, sweat, and tears. We'll never make it if we fall to everything that brings us down. With a comeback is not Blood, sweat, and tears.
Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers starts to lie.
We don't bow to fear. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Fight for what we want. Every day, put in work. Fight for what we want. Nothing comes overnight. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers start to lie.
We don't bow to fear.
Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. And every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers start to lie.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
I feel it deep flowing through my blood. Rising up to become someone. And taking it all on my own. What a sweet victory. And taking all of my control. Awaken something deep in me.
Like flames, feel it burning inside. Take a hold of pursuit of the prize. I've been told ain't no way to survive. Keeping all of this fire that's locked up inside. When this is the time, enter the ring. All those mental chemicals doing their thing. I got flashes of battles inside of my dreams. I was made for this moment. At least now it seems like it's time to come face to face with your fear. Been battling reasons for all of the years, and I learned how to fight them with style and grace no one's ever encountered. You say it's amazing. I'ma come out swinging when they open the gate. Go ahead, call passion, I'm calling it rage. I'm taking what's mine like I already own it. Watch but don't blink, going here to the moment.
The sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell 'em who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell 'em who you are, you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment, the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell 'em who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell 'em who you are, you are, you are, you are.
My name is honor, my name is king, my name is champion, my name is strength.
Tell 'em who you are.
My name is Pentakill, you think it's strange? My name keep ringing inside of your brain.
I hear it every night. Here's to the moment the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. So tell 'em who you are, you are, you are. Go and tell 'em who you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment the sky rain down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell 'em who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell 'em who you are, you
can feel the smallest lies become the brightest enemies relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. You carved your way with a sharp attack. You watched it all burn, and you never looked back. There will come a day when your fears will rise. You protect your crown, so it never dies. Never a surrender. I fight and never fail. I am a contender. A challenge I can feel. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. On my way, on my way. Find my way, find my way. On my way, on my way. Dream my way, dream my way. Never a surrender. I fight and never fail. I'm a contender. And challenge I can feel. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king.
Turn it back. Gear out a weapon, getting ready, counting down. Pay attention to the challenge, tell me where you from. Gotta be tough, gotta be strong, gotta be savage like animal. Every time you tryna push me down.
Look at me, I'll
Put
be
the line down when I run around, and I'll make a sign, I will catch you. Watch out, it's better feel, got no mercy.
Look at me, I'll be rising.
Carry the season, you got a damn, gonna weapon. You never hesitate for another moment, but my bone is golden.
I'm invincible, just let him know. I can show you all the glory I own. To the drunk, go find a way to the pad. It's I'm waiting here. Go, live and rock and we go. It ain't a river turning back. Storm is coming, tired of your cold. It's my kingdom, fire blowing up.
We the kings, it's an honor showtime. Honor kings,
Guess it's gonna burn up.
honor kings.
On a careless spree, I turn to violence. All my enemies, they go on silence. Wipe them out for only 6 seconds. We go.
You wanna get me juice, kind of the one who made the rules. You have night to choose, only one way, got night to
I can
lose.
see it, I'm gonna show them. We got no crime. We barely five as one, crashing pieces, you can cheat.
First blood, double trouble, then I take a pen, I kill. All you do is sweat and look at me stay with the rain.
Say.
I've triggered my soul
Follow my
down.
pace.
We the champions, screaming, I'm invincible. Just let them know I can show you all the glory I own. So the drunk, go find a way to the pad. It's I'm waiting here. Go, live and rock and we go. It ain't a river turning back. Storm is coming, tired of your cold. It's my kingdom, fire blowing up.
We the kings, it's an honor showtime. Honor kings,
Guess it's gonna burn up.
honor kings.
On a careless spree, I turn to violence.
No matter how I feed the flame, you know I feel the darkness and the pain. All of the ways we tried to break free from the night. You know we made it out, we found the light. I fly so high, light up the skyline. Let's do it this time, like it's a whole new vibrant world.
Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world.
Now I see that I got everything I need. It's alright, I'm on fire, I'm alive, 'cause now I fly so high, light up the skyline. Let's do it this time, like it's a whole new colorful world.
Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world.
Never thought we'd get this far, burning like the stars. How we get this far, like we're the only ones in this world.
Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world.
What's a life without its worth? Compromising with what hurts inside. When you let fear decide your fate, you don't choose which path to take in life. In life, I'm finally letting go of everything that still holds me. I'm against all odds, but I won't give up, 'cause it's my time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, can no one back me down. Destiny is calling high.
Good day to you all. It is back to KPL. Today we have an absolute monster of a series. It is your favorite kind of tofu, Kindofu. And with me today, once again, it is Mo-Man. How are we feeling today?
I'm feeling great about the games today between Dragon Ranger Gaming and Rogue Warrior Esports, right? We are looking at the lower brackets today and they are fighting for tournament life. As usual, this will be in best of 7 fashion. So global bans, global picks going in, it's going to be a hard draft for both teams.
Yep, so it's going to be a tall mountain to climb today. These teams have met each other before. And Mo-Man, you were talking to me about the result. What was the result when they last met?
All right, so actually they met when they were in Group A during the second round of the regular season in the spring season as well. So if you're looking at previous results, Dragon Ranger actually won Rogue Warriors 3-0 in the best of 5. So they have a clean sheet against Rogue Warriors Esports in this season so far, right? Rogue Warriors have yet to put a scratch on Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yeah, but today things might change, right? There's a couple of things we want to look at. I think let's start off first with the Clash lane. I think this is something that we are both very excited by. For those of you that don't know, Mo is a very big fan of RW Fly, and today his challenge is going up against DRG's Hua-Yan.
Yeah, I mean, they emphasize on their Clash lane very, very strongly, right? You have the signature picks of Fly as well. Hopefully, he does bring out some of the cool picks like the Guan Yu, something like the Sun Ce as well. They did not see much success in the group stages, but I'm hoping he still brings it out anyway, because for them, Zhuan Si of EDGM, right? He really feels that Rogue Warriors, they are the playmakers. The Clash laners are generally the playmakers of both teams, right? We have Hua-Yan and Fly. And Fly is a very, very creative player when it comes to these team fights. He will try to set up as much as possible.
Yeah, we have seen, Fly's performance throughout KPL. There are moments where he does tend to overdive and maybe he's a little bit more zealous, a little bit more proactive. And sometimes Rogue Warriors can't really catch up. So hopefully today that synergy is in check because they need an absolute perfect team play to be able to put up a game against Dragon Warrior Gaming.
Yeah, and of course, with the rosters being set as well, I mean, for Rogue Warriors, they do have members that are still kind of finding their synergies between themselves, right? We have Lucky and Yi, who just joined as well. If you're unfamiliar with Lucky and Yi, it is Jian Yue and as Lucky, aka Lucky, and of course, Jue Yi, and the farm lane as Yi. And they only joined Rogue Warriors in early of 2025, so they are still having some time away from just getting their true synergy.
Yeah, adjustments are definitely difficult to make, right? Especially in a league as tough as KPL. But this is the tier number 1 league in the KPL region, and I think it's really important to really put the best step forward, put the best foot forward as well, because you're going up against Dragon Ranger and coming from a history where DRG has taken a 3-0 game win in that series against you previously in the season itself. I think it's a tough challenge, but it's not something that is unconquerable, right? So Rogue Warriors, I think there is pressure, but it's also pressure that creates diamonds.
No pressure, man, no pressure. I mean, talking about creating diamonds right here, Rogue Warriors, they have been in the lower brackets since the playoffs started, right? Because they are coming from Group A, so they are placed in the lower bracket. Meanwhile, Dragon Ranger, they were 5th place in Group S as well. So that means they were in the lower bracket. So both of these teams to meet here, they won their respective best of 7s all the way. And stat lines coming out for Dragon Ranger and Rogue Warriors. Dragon Ranger, they have played 12 best of 7s, and out of the 12 they have won 7. Meanwhile, for Rogue Warriors, the best of 7s that they have played in this regular season, it's 100% for them. 100% in the playoffs all the way. No team has ever done that, by the way.
Yep, so this is a very scary stat line, right? Also bear in mind, Rogue Warriors, in order to reach this point of the competition, they had to dispatch one of our favorite teams, Chongqing Wolves, as well. Now, it is a monster squad, so the fact that they took them out, I think this is also benefit to Rogue Warriors. I want to see if they're going to bring that A-star performance up against Dragon Ranger Gaming today.
And of course, the stakes is if they win here, they're going up against the losers of tomorrow. I mean, losers of yesterday and perhaps the winners of tomorrow. So who's waiting for them in that upper bracket, right? Who's waiting for them in that upper bracket of this losers bracket is going to be Weibo Gaming. So interesting fact about Weibo Gaming versus Dragon Ranger and Rogue Warriors, they have lost to both Dragon Rangers and Rogue Warriors. Weibo Gaming has never won Dragon Ranger and Rogue Warriors, so they are looking forward to meet Weibo Gaming.
Yep, I think that's a very interesting thing, right? Because now they're in a position that technically they have conquered before, they're in a much better position, but it's also about revenge, right? You have been beaten by them earlier in the season, and tomorrow will be the chance for them to really set into stone that they have improved. They are now better than either Dragon Ranger Gaming or Rogue Warriors Esports Club. But of course, these are all theories. We want to put it into practice. So let's take it step by step. DRG going up against RW. What is the result going to be today?
Well, for me, I'm a Rogue Warrior fan, right? I like Fly a lot. I'm hoping it's a 4-2 towards Rogue Warriors. How about you, kid?
I am gonna have a little bit more confidence. I think the 3-0 puts a little bit of strength in my heart, so I'm going with DRG taking this series 4-1.
Boring. They're going with the stats. Dragon Ranger, they're in the Group S, right? Yeah, I mean, it's true. History has proven time and time again that sometimes it repeats itself. But I'm just hoping that the Rogue Warriors of today are someone that has overcome a lot. Hopefully, they are there.
2025年王者荣耀职业联赛春季赛季后赛。下面让我们有请本场比赛登场的第一支队伍——佛山 DRG。对抗路花园、打野婉婉、中路早点、发育路梦兰、游走四宝。
好，你先打一波三火魂，跟他飞进去，一个人人群里面搅4个，达摩就在旁边，谁敢过来看他呢？他还在飞。
激流勇进，激流勇进。
Alright, so this is the Dragon Ranger Gaming Squad, and they are feel the gun in the farm lane, and they're looking for a win. So now, with Sibao in the roam lane as well, Dragon Ranger Gaming are looking to secure that loser bracket win.
接下来，让我们有请本场比赛登场的第2支队伍——济南 RW 侠。对抗路 Fly， 打野无双，中路剑月。发育路决议，游走小 A，
看到这边有大招，可以让这边向前大招逼了一波位置，
但是看一下自己
心不妥协，心不妥协。
That is going to be Rogue Warriors Esports Club. They are looking to put the series up against their rivals here, DRG, Dragon Ranger Gaming. Going to be a tall mountain to climb, but with their strength, they could be able to do it.
This is tournament life on the line for
双方战队集结完毕，
They do it.
精彩对决即将开始。
The big moment for both teams, and I think it's a there's a lot of expectations coming today, right? Because now there's a lot of pressure. You have to win this best of 7, and then you're going back up against Weibo Gaming to try and not allow them that revenge. And then at the end of the day, you're gonna be meeting the #1 squad in the entire KPL, All Gamers AG.
I mean, they are definitely prepared for that. If you are entering KPL, the pressure creates diamonds, like you said. This is all best of 7s, and with the losers bracket double elimination system, this is tournament life on the line. So today they're gonna have to be forced to show their full hand if they wish to continue playing, have a shot at the top 2 seed, and of course, to go through that, they have to get through Weibo Gaming as well. So with that said, I mean, I'm looking forward to the bans and picks that are going on today, but an interesting stat line that I want to put across is that DRG, they have a very strong win rate with Dolia, and Dolia is currently one of the best heroes for DRG. And for Rogue Warriors, they have a similar stat line as well, 80% win rate with the Luban Dashi, aka Master Luban, aka Luban, and Luban #7.
Alright, so let's take a look at the players. Huayan, as you already know, on that DRG side, gonna be responsible for the Clash lane. And up next we have Wanwan, also known as the jungler of the team. They're gonna put pressure on his back. He is gonna try and lead them to victory. And right next to him is none other than the mid laner, I believe. Yes, it is gonna be Dian, also known as Zhao Dian. He has been responsible for quite a lot of the wins in the later parts of the series when they first played in the previous day itself. And next up we have the veteran himself, Moon Lan, also known as Meng Lan. He is one of the farm laners on the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming, and with his successes, he has been able to get DRG into a prime position today. Of course, the guy that has always saved all their lives here is Sibao. He is the roam for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Dragon Ranger Gaming looking all prepared. This is going to be a test of wits in the best of 7, but on the other side, we have the Rogue Warriors Esports Club. This is the man himself, Fly, the executioner on that Clash lane. Whether or not he can set up the plays this time, or will it be an over-aggression causing his team to overextend? It's a hit or miss. We're gonna have to find out today, but I'm a fan. I'm indeed a fan. And the man in the jungle, Wu Shuang, aka Shuang, on the jungle as well, known for his monstrous pay, known for his monstrous lam as well. Crazy stat lines. And now the man on the mid lane, Lucky Jianyue, joining the team in 2025, still trying to find his place, still trying to find some synergy within the team. Whether or not they find it today, it might mean tournament life. And now with E on that farm lane, who joined at the same time, also known as Jue, and he is doing so well on the Lung, known as the Assassin Lung on that Dragon Hero. And finally on that roam, getting all the Rogue Warriors backs is Xiao A, also known as Xiao A.
Right, so we have the fans here looking for a 4-0 早下班, which means get off work early, right? And of course, yes, this is a job for them, this is business, and we want to see how clean can they perform their roles.
Yeah, definitely. There has been a lot of changes in play styles as they develop throughout the season. And I feel that whatever that they have developed, they put themselves here right now. It's definitely a place to put themselves forward and learn even more strategies, learn even more about the enemy.
Okay, so just on our past broadcasts, right, we have seen that, you may win the first game of the series, but that does not really guarantee you the momentum to carry the entire game to a 4 straight win series, right? So at this point, not to say that the first game is not important, but still, I want to see who's able to take that best step forward.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to be a crazy number of mind games coming out from both coaches. If you take a look at the draft picks, right, that they have put out before, the top 4 bands being Agudo, Haiyue, Lung, and Guan Yu. Of course, both of them have signature heroes on each side, but throughout the tournament, they have developed new strategies with the Luban Dashi and the Luban #7. That Luban combo, very deadly in the hands of Rogue. Now, Dolia, as well as Elaine, is also a threat from the side of DRG.
Yep. I'm curious to see if they're going to start with the assassin jungles, right? Do we see a pay right off at the start? This is one of the standard strategies that both teams will like to use to try and make that early aggression really viable and really just start to stifle the growth, right? Because when you have a strong pay lead, it's really hard for the mid laners, the roamers to really find any sort of farm.
Yeah, definitely. And what I want to say is what Zhuangzi actually said earlier in the Chinese cast. He's a member of EDGM, he's the mid laner, and he played against Dragon Ranger. So he said that 1-1 is actually one of the key priorities for Dragon Ranger. He's highly contested, and of course, it's very dependent on his success if Dragon Ranger Gaming takes the series.
Yes, definitely. I think we already talked about this, right? He seems to be the cornerstone of the team, and I think they require him to be on a very strong hero here.
Yeah, they require him to be on a strong hero, but if you take a look at the bans, already 2 highly contested roams taken out, Luban Dashi and the Diadea, known for their aggressiveness and their repositioning. And of course, for Rogue Warriors, 2 more highly contested roams, which is the Liang and the Dolia. But Rogue Warriors responding very strong with one of the signature heroes, Shuang's Ogren.
Yeah, 15 usages throughout the season so far, 80% win rate, and DRG, they're gonna respond with burst compositions here, going for the pay and going for the Lady Sun as well. So if they're able to control this Rogue Warrior Ogren, I think they would be able to melt him down pretty quickly before he's able to get into their hands.
Yeah, and this is kind of a trap by a Dragon Ranger, right? To see whether Rogue Warriors, they do pick up the Byron for themselves. If not, they're gonna pick it up for themselves on the side of Dragon Ranger. But instead, Rogue Warriors, they opt for a Mozi, and a Geya pick. So Dragon Ranger, they have the chance to go for that pay Byron combo if they want to do so.
Yeah, exactly. And now Rogue Warriors, they have quite a bit of control coming in from the Ogren swipe, right? There's Precipice second skill, or they can rely on the Mortar stun as well. So Dragon Ranger, they understand that, hey, there is a very high chance they will get stunned up. They will have to deal with massive amounts of damage, and which is also the reason why they pick up the Zhenren here, right? They want to give themselves a fighting chance, that resurrection onto whoever dies first. And maybe that will be the turnaround condition for DRG.
Ooh, Dragon Ranger taking a very, very interesting turn of combo, right? Usually we see the Zhenren being compared and combined with the Chano, but now we're gonna see the Zhenren together with the Pei. So it's a very interesting and aggressive combo coming out from Dragon Ranger. So they're gonna look out to ban the mage damage heroes in the mid lane. So very good bans taking out the Cat Boom, Gun and Mo, and the Ying Zhen as well, because they can all play from range and they can deal damage even before the fight starts.
Yeah, I really like that, right? You don't want to allow those defensive capabilities from the side of Rogue Warriors, but it doesn't come in a defensive form. It comes in an aggressive form, right? Instead of just pushing you away, they actually damage you, disallowing you from coming into the actual fights itself. Now, DRG, I like this pick. They pick up the Guan Yu. This will be a very vital catch if they're able to use the Razor Cavalry to kind of force the Mortar as well as the Geya into uncomfortable positions, probably in the face of 1-1, or at least just within range of this farm lane on the side of Dragon Ranger with the Lady Sun.
And they pick up the Mai Shiranui for the side of Rogue Warriors. Generally being paired with the Mai Yin, so you do pick it up for themselves. Very mobile, very strong burst capability coming out from Rogue Warriors. Trying to burst them down before the fight even starts is also an option instead of the poke option.
Yeah, I mean, the burst potential of Mai is very valuable against the likes of Dragon Ranger. But here we go. This is another fresh pick we have not seen yet. This is the Jin Chan. This is a mid laner for the side of Dragon Ranger. So let's drop a little bit of information about this guy. His first skill is a set of rings that will explode after a short duration. And his second skill is a ring of a barrier, which will actually disallow you from getting out of it. And of course, his final ability, this ultimate ability, is to be able to deal a big amount of burst damage, but also push you away.
Yeah, so there is a lot of displacement coming out from Dragon Ranger, right? If you think about it, they explode, they push, they have a lot of AoE crowd control, right? If you look at the synergies, Guan Yu together with Jin Chan and together with Zhenren as well, they all have that control factor. So that's something that Rogue Warriors are going to need to be wary about, especially with the Ogren in the front line. Just knowing that they don't have any defensive capability, they have to fight fire with fire here.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, right? So imagine if Shuang actually gets caught out by Dian with his second skill on that barrier. He won't be able to move out of that barrier, and there's a lot of range burst coming out from DRG, right? You have Moonlan on the Lady Sun, you have 1-1 on the Pei, who is able to attack from range as well. So that's a pretty scary situation, but it's a very specific situation. So it really relies on the team play and how much can they set up for each other on both sides.
Yeah, and I really like the Mozi pick, right? Because you need something to lock the Pei down. And generally we see the Liang, something with a lot of CC, something with a lot of lockdown, but it is banned out. So they went for the next best option, which is the Mozi. Something that I would have liked to see as well is the Kui as well. I mean, very underrated hero, but he kind of works in this kind of setup as well. But definitely the lineups are the lineups for now.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like the Mozi pick, and having to deal with the Guan Yu is so valuable on the side of Rogue Warriors, right? Not only does he make it capable to stun this Guan Yu up, so Hua Yin's not exactly going to have the best time. But look, one of the interactions when Shibao gives you that resurrection, when you resurrect, it takes a bit of time, right? Actually, this opens up a space for Xiao A to get his ultimate thing inside the box, even before you revive, and suddenly that ultimate is rendered useless.
Yeah, I mean, that ultimate is going to be finding a very hard time to place its mark, especially in the hands of these players. But now that we are in the game, Rogue Warriors versus Dragon Ranger Gaming, this is gonna be a best of 7, and tournament life is on the line as we head into the Gorge.
Alright, game number 1, let's see. They are gonna go for the standard routes in their lanes, no swapping so far, right? So we will get E on that Goya going up against Moonlight on that Lady Soul in the farm lane. But the first clear, I think it is super important in the mid lane.
Yeah, it definitely is. The first clear in the mid lane, always very important because they want access to the enemy resources. And here's the reason why, right? You want more gold for your mid laner or whoever it is, especially if you're taking away from your enemy because you deny the enemy resources as well. So in the way, you get more gold for yourselves while denying enemy gold at the same time. So that's why that mid lane is heavily prioritized.
Yep. At the same time, very quick rotations, right, from 1-1. So helping to secure that fire beak at the bottom is so important. They want to try and stop the farm going into E specifically. But at the same time, you know, in KPL, teams respond really quickly. Shuang immediately goes for the task bars in that mid.
Yep, Ogren really good at invading the enemy jungle. And you can see that with that path of passing, right? You can't actually deal with it so well in that early game because you don't have the cooldown, the capability yet. And already, the Crimson Golem has been taken away onto the hands of Rogue Warriors.
Oh, this is a big moment. So Rogue Warriors, not only do they delay the farm on 1-1, they also get the Crimson buff, right? Right now, Fly in danger.
Yeah, Fly is in a lot of danger indeed as he will finally be going down, not able to pop the flash in time. Rest of the team falling in, but they will not be able to get a trade for now. Dragon Ranger, they are trying to cut their losses, but Guan Yi is stuck. Guan Yin, he is in no man's land and eventually gets slammed down by Wu Shuang, and Shuang will get the trade.
1-1 did get the kill, right? So I think at this point, we're back into square one. And I think Dragon Ranger, hang on, they will not go for that stun a little bit too far. In terms of EXP, I think it's pretty much even at this point, but gold slightly ahead for DRG.
Yeah, still slightly ahead for DRG. I'm surprised that is so, despite the fact that 1-1's jungle rotations have been disrupted. Like, look at how Ogren is playing, right? Very disruptive, and this is the story that you are going to be expecting for maybe the first 10 minutes of the game, where Ogren can be in your face, right? Because you don't have enough frontline damage to shoo him away, because you need more damage to actually shoo him away.
Yeah, and look, Shuang on this Ogren, he is a very tanky but yet damaging hero, right? And one stat line we have seen across all these days is Shuang is responsible for one of the longest control times in the league, over 400 seconds. That's more than 7 minutes worth of control. And if you give him an Ogren, he's going to be able to deal so much damage and give so much advantage to a team with that amount of control he has on Ogren.
I think if you don't play the game for 7 minutes, I think the game flags you as AFK. So I think, yeah, Strong does that. And now with the replay, I mean, you can see that Fly, he did not want to waste too much resources there and just wanted to go for a trade, knowing that the rest of Rogue Warriors were coming in. Now, with the positioning of Rogue Warriors Strong, you can see that he's trying to zone away the Guan Yu in a sense that your team does not get pulled in along as well.
Yeah. Also, one small interaction that you will see there is that, you know what, there is a lot of individual bursts coming out from DRG. But in a big team fight, I think Rogue Warriors actually take it because there is a little bit more AoE potential from the side of Rogue Warriors. So let's see how they huddle up on the side of DRG.
Yeah, path of passing has been used together with a swipe coming out from Strong. Not gonna be able to find anything for now, right? This is all very dependent on the Mozi setup and the hands of Xiao A here. But at the 4-minute mark, the Tyrant and the Overlord will be spawning, and Rogue Warriors, they look prime position to take this Tyrant.
Yeah, I don't think they can contest for this. They will go immediately for the trade instead on that Overlord. More importantly, it's about defending this Azure Golem from the likes of Shuang, right? You don't want to give this over to him because Pei does need that extra cooldown reduction.
Yep, cooldown reduction and, of course, a lot of EXP and gold as well. I mean, Rogue Warriors, they've been doing such a great job of response, but Dragon Ranger, they keep the gold lead even. It's always about finding the trades. You might lose something, but they always position themselves very well on the other side of the map to make sure that they can trade.
Yeah, right now, I think DRG going to play a little bit more patient. Huayan hasn't been able to find Prio in his lane just yet, but with this push, I think they can set something up. Maybe a potential pick-off on the side of DRG.
Yeah, and now we see that mid-skirmish along in that push. The path of passing already being used. Will not have it for the next few seconds, but now that he does have it, he is now going in. Shuang is on that rampage in that back line. There's a lot of damage in here. Finally goes down, Lucky. But Shuang, he is there to follow up with the trade. Lucky gave up his life. Doesn't matter, but 1-1 actually too deep finds the damage. Dragon Ranger, they respond very well.
Yep, and T1 is going to be threatened at this point.
Yeah, tier 1 being threatened. This mid lane turret actually very important, giving access to both sides of the jungle. And if Rogue Warriors get this, they kind of stabilize despite the fact that they lost 2. They take out Dian on the middle lane. Overextension by him trying to defend the turret here. And now Huayan comes in, but all a little too late.
Yeah, okay, Huayan was busy trying to clear the lane as well to be able to mitigate the pressure coming in from Rogue Warriors. But Lucky, look at his rotation, super fast. Make sure that that win condition is cancelled out immediately.
Yeah, definitely cancel out that lane priority coming in. But the fact of the matter is, Rogue Warriors, they still have that superior positioning when they have that Mai Shiranui on that top lane, and definitely he gave up his life a bit here, right? Trying to enable Shuang as much as possible. You see that he's just waiting for the path of passing, and now with Mai Shiranui Lucky in the back lines, he's going to jump in and give up his own life just to try to get a semblance of control on that Lady Sun. And Lady Sun might not have been the target for now because the main damage dealer is still 1-1, and we know that DRG is really dependent on 1-1 success. Now, with the next team fight going through, yeah, they're still going in as well. Wu Shuang does once more, and Fly able to follow up on the kills. Already 2 members down from side Dragon Ranger. Make that a 3rd as Huayan falls as well. Rogue Warriors, they're pressing on the advantage. That mobility is coming in really strong here. And now, with that control coming in from the Mozi on Xiao A, is not able to find anything for now, but a statement has been put. This is our map. This is our jungle now.
Yeah, Rogue Warrior is very strong right now, and one of the main reasons why is because he has not been touched this game, right? No deaths just yet, 2-0-1, 2 kills. At this point, he's about close to 6,000 gold, close to, what, at least more than 500 gold in advantage of Mulan, and this damage differential is showing.
Yeah, and I really like the build coming out from Goya. He went for the Extra Torment first, and now with the Eternity Blade, he's able to join those team fights very, very early, right? Compared to what the Lady Sun brings to the table, the Shadow Ripper and the Eternity Blade really going more for attack speed, the Glass Cannon build, but that's expected of the Lady Sun. But let's just take a look at this replay here.
Yep, so the chase down and the lockdown onto that hero here on Moonlan was so critical because the pullback from Fly allowed them to get in range, and unfortunately for Moonlan, he had to be separated from the team as well. In order to keep that line really clean, you could notice that Shuang as well, he was making sure that the rest of the members were backing out further away. So Moonlan, there was no save capable.
Yeah, but Dragon Ranger, we talked about them having that burst potential, that jump potential. As long as they are getting initiated on, they are going to die. But if they are the ones initiating, when the tables turn, they actually have the ability to burst down and to CC down a lot of the Rogue Warriors members, and we have yet to see that.
Yeah, you know, it's all benefit to Shuang as well. He has been dealing close to 33% of the team's hero damage so far. He's level 12, right? Most people compare him like against 1-1, how the junglers are comparing to each other. But the main comparison here is that Shuang is not going up against 1-1, he's chasing the other members. And right now, that level deficit makes life so tough for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yeah, definitely is one of the highest levels on the map right now. With now the Azure Golem being contested, Rogue Warriors, they have a clear grasp of the map. They really want to choke out these resources. And Rogue Warriors, if they continue to do this, if it happens so, the net worth is eventually going to go with them.
Yeah, and this is where their draft becomes so scary, right? But they're trying on the side of DRG to look for an opening. At this point, I don't think they will be, because look, Xiao A, all he has to do is to keep shooting his cannon blast from afar and set up for the team. And Fly as well as Lucky, they're waiting for those shots to land, or at least for a tunnel vision, right? If Dragon Ranger unfortunately miss out the position of Fly, he's gonna go in. Lucky waits for the stun, gets the Kachosen, suddenly there's a lot of damage that Dragon Ranger has eaten.
I really like what you're saying, right? You're saying that Rogue Warriors has a lot of chance to trial and error because they have skills that can shoot from afar and very low cooldowns as well. So they can take their chance with Dragon Ranger being on the opposite side. But now we do have this tyrant fight going on right now. Radiance has been used on the side of Dragon Ranger. Sibao is falling extremely low. Xiao A takes out the tyrant for now, but the rest of the team have fallen through. Conductive Souls have been popped. Fly takes out Sibao in the back, but Mulan finds the damage. Jin Yue goes down, and Yi finally gets the damage onto Guan Yi, and this will be a 4-3 trade going in the favor of Rogue Warriors.
Double kill.
Yep, it's a big fight for the side of Rogue Warriors here. Dragon Ranger, they did well to try and get the win conditions, right? The Clash laners on both sides, once again, major win conditions, right? So on the side of DRG, they were trying to find that burst onto Shuang, but you can see, take a look at Fly. He is on the backlines, pushing away everyone who is capable of killing Shuang at this point. While Shuang did fall in this fight, Lucky falling first, end of the day, they couldn't get the damage in sync on the side of DRG, and there was just too much damage available coming out from E, allowing them to get the kills here.
Yeah, and the Conductor of Souls coming out from Shuang was at the perfect timing, right smack in the middle of Dragon Ranger's lineup. They could not respond to that, right? Despite having so much control, they were all too spread out. Now, with the next objective being on that map, the Primal Bond's still up on Rogue Warriors though. So definitely, they are not going to try and contest this for now, but I think it's going to end soon.
Yep. Look, he's close to 10k on this E, right? So this girl, yeah, already close to the 6th item in the game. Right now, it's closely matched in a sense where Moonlan, yes, only has 4 core items at this point, but does have sufficient lifesteal. I mean, with whatever gold he has, right? Trailing by close to 1,000 at this point.
Yeah, at this point, Rogue Warriors, they're just dominating the entirety of the map. They will take the overload for themselves, sending waves of dragons down. And just take a look at the stat line, man.
Yep, so much damage, right? 38,000 so far. This is the amount of damage he has done in teamfights. And Shuang, I think, is one of the core reasons why DRG is finding it so difficult, because they have to focus on Shuang. There's not enough damage to go around to try and get rid of the other Rogue Warrior players.
And Shadow Vanguard, it has been popped on the bottom lane. They want to apply the pressure, and they want to apply the pressure now. This is Rogue Warriors making the call to go for the inner turrets, right? With the Shadow Vanguard pop, they are going to try and get a 3-lane priority. They're going to get a tri-push going.
Destroyed a turret.
Yeah, and E right now, top of the farm on this game itself. I'm looking at Huayan actually. He does have the frigid charge. His flank is going to be so important. He's definitely going to be one of the big win conditions that Rogue Warriors needs to watch out for.
Yeah, and Fly is on that counter flank duty, making sure that he does not get the it jump. But my Shenoi already going in. Jian Yue, he will give up his own life as 1-1 escapes unscathed. And this might mean Rogue Warriors have overextended as Strong goes down. 2 members for nothing. They overextended with no catch.
Yeah, look, there was quite a bit of time on the side of Rogue Warriors to be able to finish this game. But now that DRG have found that kill on the Strong, they're able to recover a bit of EXP and farm into the hands of 1-1, who's now at 10.7 thousand. He's leading in terms of the jungle gold, and finally, they might have a chance to get the damage down onto Rogue Warriors. This is scary for them.
Yeah, this high ground is going to be a bit of a problem, right? Xiao A's catches might have been good in the middle of the map, but on the high ground, it's a different story. You're fighting up against a much more clubbed area as well. And Xiao A, once again, he's still trying to find these catches, but it's the later stages of the game where the net worth is enough to stop this burst. Now, the Tyrant goes the way of 1-1, but now with the Fly going in, he gives up his own life, not able to find a catch on any of the members.
Yeah, the ticking time bomb that is Dragon Ranger have probably hit their marker at this point. Moonlan is 15. He does have his 6th item, the Ominous Premonition, to slow down the attack damage on the side of Rogue Warriors as well. So this Lady Sun is finally a big threat, big enough to maybe hurt Rogue Warriors' chances of winning this game number 1.
And now with the creeps crashing in 2 lanes, the bottom turret will be threatened and it will indeed be taken from the side of Dragon Ranger. Now with the rest of Rogue Warriors trying to defend this middle lane turret, they're still trying to siege it down. Dragon Ranger, they now have full control of the enemy jungle. They now have full vision, and this is a very scary place for a Pei to be in because he can jump in that far.
Yep, 14.5 minutes. That's how long it took for the first tier 3 to fall on this game. Almost double the time of the league's average at this point. But DRG, that's the thing. They are so much more effective. And now, with the T3 open, Rogue Warriors, this game is no longer within their control.
I mean, they still have a chance. They have that more to catch, and if they can finally land it on a key target, which Dragon Ranger, they're not gonna let you land a stun on Moonlan. They're not gonna let you land a stun on 1-1. If they do, it's Dragon Ranger's game to lose here.
Yeah, that's correct. I agree as well. One thing I want to point out with a different perspective here is DRG. I think Sipao might be the game changer here besides Wyatt. If he actually gets a stun on the backlines, Rogue Warriors is gonna have a very tough time.
Yeah, and definitely he can go for that flank here, but he's frontlining extremely well, right? Trying to stop out, and now going in, it's Amorzi still, and he might give up his own life with the ultimate here, but take note, he has a second life, he's a Zhenren after all, but the rest of the members have fallen in flight, trying to find something here. He does get the second life away, but Jian Yue goes in and gives up his own as well. It's a 2-for-0 trade coming so far. Dragon Ranger are sustaining throughout this, and Wushang, he's trying to do his best, but eventually falls to the damage, and Goya, he is out and dealing so much damage from range. He might be the potential ender of this. He does have the damage. If he can find the stat line damage onto Mulan, that's an important marker here because he is the main source of damage from Dragon Ranger.
Yeah, as long as he and Xiao A don't die, I think they should be able to hold off the waves, but right now they're going in.
And definitely they do go in. Goya, he finds the kiting, he finds the damage. The first life is already down, but the crystal is falling, and Dragon Ranger will take the first game of this series. Congratulations to them.
Yep, all it took was one swing, and that was all that was necessary for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming to come back into the game and take the win away from what was a pretty strong start coming in from Rogue Warriors.
And let's just see what players have to say.
那个本来就慢，你就被投一个红，领先400。对呀，被投红没事儿，你把他的拿走，他放偏那啥就行了，可以的，就角色重置。
All right, so I think we want to take a look at what these players are going to be discussing about, right? End of the day, I think it was really Rogue Warriors' game in the first half of it.
Yeah, I mean, they did very well. And Rogue Warriors, I mean, at the start, they drafted to actually kind of dominate in that scaling battle in the early to later stages of the game, especially on Wushang with Ogren as well. So definitely, I think they were trying to find their pace, but they made a few mistakes, right? There was a bit of over-committal coming on the bottom lane turret, especially with the Shadow Vanguard as well, which led to 2 members dying for nothing.
Yeah, I think it was a situation that was unfortunate, but it also was something that we did point out early in the game, right? Like, we noticed that Fly likes to jump in early in the fights and hopefully set up situations for the team to benefit off of. But this time, it wasn't just Fly, right? It was the mid laner as well jumping in, and a couple of times, I think not by their mistake, it was actually a bait, because Shibao did create that chance, right? As the Zhenren, he was super low. They knew he had the second life. They wanted to get rid of him. And when he was about to die, he jumped into the backlines of DRG, and suddenly whoever that was following him was placed into a 4v1 situation.
Yeah, and definitely very good map awareness from the side of Shibao as well, to make sure that every time he gets jumped, he makes use of his second life very fully, right? In the last team fight, we saw that he was the one getting chased, but he used it as a form of setup, right? Instead of trying to fight on the opponent's territory, he drew them towards themselves. And Jian Yue, aka Lucky, going on the Mai Shiranui, could not just survive that 4v1 situation.
That actually could have swung very much into Rogue Warrior's benefit, because I think, look, he actually did quite a bit of damage on the mine, right? But unfortunately for him, he jumped into a backline where, you know, there was a Sage's Sanctuary, there was the save of Resurrection coming in from Shibao as well. So it was a little bit unfortunate, right? Even though he's called Lucky, that was an unlucky situation for him.
Very unlucky indeed. And if you take a look at the damage stats, definitely from the side of Goya, dealing so much damage but not able to find the kills. That's the power of a Zhenren right there, right? The ability to revive yourself and revive your teammates. And they are showing why this is one of the top premier picks. But now it will not be available for the side of DRG.
Yeah, and I need to point out this stat to me is very valuable. Huayan actually provided majority of the information of vision for the side of DRG. That's why they were able to make such good decisions, baiting players like Fly, baiting players like Lucky into the 4 members of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
YN as a Guan Yu is expected to be on the other side of the map, right? Trying to play with Fly as much as possible, trying to keep a check on the flank as well. And meanwhile, looking for a flank of his own. Meanwhile, on the side of Dragon Ranger, if you look at what Bien has, his average net worth at 10 minutes is actually kind of high compared to Mai Shiranui.
Yeah, the wave clear is very strong, right? Coming out from Dian's Jinchan. At the same time, he also provided the barrier, that lockdown that was so difficult for Rogue Warriors to get out of. There were a couple of situations. Look, Xiao A didn't die at all this game, but he was consistently muted in the later parts. But let's take a look at the MVP. We talked about him. He's the rock for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming. It is going to be Wan, who is your MVP. This Pei was hungry. He was powerful.
Yeah, and he responded to the backline dives very well, right? Most of the Pei players that you see, they are very focused on diving in the backline. So when their own backlines get dived, it becomes a problem. But Pei was super responsive, especially on Wan. You need to have that focus.
Yep, he was responsible for the big burst. He was already expecting the jump coming in from Lucky. So if you notice that little moment where Lucky actually came in, he already preemptively struck at that position. And that was one of the main reasons why they were able to get the burst as well. Now, if you don't understand Chinese, you know, the MVP tag that was given to him was 关键输出, which is critical moments. He really created and changed those critical moments for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yeah, one jump away could have been the difference. And if you take a look at this last few team fights as well, they were really hard committing. We do have Shuang trying to deal as much damage as possible, and Goya at the back on Yi. But let's just see what the players were saying during the game.
没炮兄弟，双下来结束结束，行，他们下麦中，洗碗了。你要我给你偷无敌不？换血了兄弟。不用，你扎他就留着打人就行。我来接，看这我有了，看一眼，别急，就这样兄弟们，就这样。 往前逼了，我往前逼了。龙没了，龙没了，龙没了，龙没了。我来了，我来了。帽子，快点门跟吗？没不上，接不上，走，接。我能去，我能走，我能走，不慌。我能上小马，他小马。没事，接。交上走，没事。行，小马没事。空了。给盾了。小马。来，小马。哎，快点击上一黄文死。火。你先吸血，拉一下，你先吸血，拉出来，我能吸了，我有名刀，别急着割呀，大师给我，追一波能追波，可以打，快，没事，别急，我们追了，别追了，跟着下线走，吸狗血，我现进去就10秒活，兄弟们，我踩了，杀人，别急，我提前不在，先停了，先停了。
Okay, so let's talk about this particular situation, right? There was a couple of communications that are very important here. So number one, they were asking them, Hua Yan specifically, to pull the opponents back into them because they were backing away. They needed the distance to be close. That's number one. And number two, they were really clear about when to go for kills, right? E was left alone. Most teams would have been like, okay, let's go for this guy. Yeah, he's alone. We should kill him off. But the team comms was, let's not be bothered about a singular kill. Let's go for the bigger objective. Go for the base. Go for the crystal.
Yeah, I mean, that is the point of the game after all, right? You can have the best score line, you can have a 20-0 score line, but you can still lose your base, especially if you don't play the objectives correctly. And Dragon Rangers, they were on top of those objectives at all times. And I feel that that is one of the strengths of the drafts as well. When you pick a pay, you expect to be over aggressive. You expect them to be jumping and Guan Yu to be always flanking. But now, the way that Dragon Rangers have adapted to the game style of Rogue Warriors is actually to go for the counter kills and to go for the dives when they overcommit.
Yeah, one of the behaviors on the side of Hua Yan, which I hope you'll notice later on, if you look at the replays itself, look, he was able to segregate the team, right? So Rogue Warriors, they had set up Xiao. It was really perfect on them with the cannon blast. A lot of things were landing, but every time he landed the cannon blast, Hua Yan pushed them away. They couldn't engage onto the targets, and Dragon Ranger made it their life's mission to really put a gap in between and divide and conquer at this point.
Yep, and that's positioning out of Zhenren as well. He was always in the front of the teammates, making sure that Wanwan was not affected by Mozi's blast. Early in the game, yes, sure, the Pei will not be playing together with Zhenren as much, but later in the stages of the game where you have to make the mid-game decisions as a team, you're grouped up as 5, his positioning was immaculate against the Mozi.
Okay, so this is one of the big picks coming out from Hua Yan, right? So Guan Yu has been playing for the side of DRG. Now, this is not going to be available because we are in the global ban pick format. But this also makes me excited because Guan Yu is actually Rogue Warriors Fly. This is one of his major signature heroes. It is what he's recognized by in this league.
Yes, definitely it is. And it's going to be very scary to leave it open in the pool. A lot of the draft picks, there are still a lot of premium things available, right? Jin Chan in the mid lane is not exactly premium, but they won with it as well. And I'm surprised that they picked the Zhenren and the Lady Sun as a combo. So now they don't have that Chano Zhenren combo as well for the side of DRG. Meanwhile, for Rogue Warriors, they have used the Ogren as well. So they will not have that available for Shuang.
Okay, so let's formulate a little bit. If you have a channel on your side, I think a Dire DSD works, right? I think that's a good pick. You have the lockdown, great synergy with the leader stance as well. The Wolves will do the work for you. But on the other side, Rogue Warriors, what would you like for them in this next draft?
I mean, the Guan Yu pick itself is a very strong pick as well. And they can go for the Guan Yu and they can go for the Lung as well, right? Go for the survivability. They go for that farm lane sustainability. And I feel that they have not made use of the farm laner that much. Sure, they picked the Geya, but Geya was playing so sustainable. Wasn't building for damage at all.
Yeah, I like that. And you also mentioned that, E is one of the strongest players on the Lung, right? Also known as the Silent Assassin. So I want to see if they want to bring out the Lung at this point. I don't think it's very safe to go into a series 2-0. It kind of, dwindles your confidence as well.
Yeah, definitely we will have to take a look at the bans as well. We know that Rogue Warriors, they have one of the highest win rates in KPL with the Luban combo, Luban 大师 and Luban number 7 together. So whether or not they ban that out, especially in the second game where they need momentum, they might actually want to pick it just to clap back.
Yeah, that's true. I think on DRG side, if I'm on DRG, I would ban out the Guan Yu. I don't want to give you a confidence pick on the side of Rogue Warriors. At this point, I think it's better to limit the options, but you can't ban everything. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, and one of the key picks that you can see out of DRG as well, they are one of the teams that really like to run the Hai Yue on the mid lane, right? Locking someone up in that dimension, taking a 4v4 and taking out someone's farm out of the game. It's very common for them to do it.
Yeah, I think adding on, I think with that concept, they might allow the Guan Yu, because Hai Yue is a mortal enemy of Guan Yu here. Just getting him out of the battle saves them so much trouble. So let's see if they actually open up the Guan Yu for Fly.
Yeah, this is gonna be a game of 40 gestures as they have expended the first 5 heroes already. And for Dragon Ranger, the first ban is gonna be Pei, the one that they won with.
Yeah, I think it's important. You don't want to have a fast-paced game. Dragon Ranger, and they ban out the Hai Yue. So this might be a situation where Rogue Warriors can try and snap pick the Guan Yu here.
Definitely so, and of course they ban out the Long, which means that they won't have that option for themselves, but they're probably limiting the options for Mulan as well. We have seen teams blanket ban out Mulan, and they note that, well, if you give Mulan a hard time, Dragon Ranger generally have a hard time as well, because he's your oldest player.
Yeah, look, I think you might be very excited by this potential, because by taking out the Long, this also opens up the doors for the potential Guan Yu, right? Because he suffers against riding the wind. Right now, Dragon Ranger, they pick up this Yu Huan, probably heading into the roam, but we'll see. Okay, Rogue Warriors, they have the Master Luban here.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna pick the combo for sure. They gotta pick the combo. Yes, they are picking Luban 大师, aka Master Luban, and now Luban number 7. This is a killer combo, and Rogue Warriors, they have piloted it 87.5% win rate.
Yeah, that's crazy high, and this is exactly what you expect out of Dragon Ranger. So if you can't get the catch, you get the burst, right? So Dragon Ranger pick up the Jing, one of the most mobile heroes in the KPL, at the same time able to really cut through the defenses of Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, now what I'm worried about is for Dragon Ranger, they don't have the damage soak, right? They don't have a frontline capability, and Rogue Warriors start picking that and start banning it out. This is a very good pick coming from the Kaiser, because he can fight the top to bottom very well, especially with the Invincible Warrior. You're control immune, you have damage mitigation, and you can't just fight for days.
Yeah, I just need Rogue Warriors now to have a bit more control, right? They will ban out the Meng Tian, but I think they need to try and stop the stuns coming in, because Rogue Warriors now, they are very susceptible to stuns. They already have 2 stuns on the side of Dragon Ranger, 3 if you want to count Jing as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Inzhen is still open for the side of Dragon Ranger if they fully want to go for that poke combo. Oh no, actually it's not. Never mind. The board is also out of the game. Yixing is out of the game as well. And for Dragon Ranger, they're really limiting the clash lane options here, right? Charlotte, Elaine, Sikong, all top tier clash lanes being taken out. They want to limit the ability of the clash laner Fly.
And there's one signature move that is similar to all 3 heroes, right? Which is they're all able to touch Mulan on this Tier. So it's a good ban. They want to make sure that he's safe in this game. Rogue Warriors, I like this pick. Byron, absolute monster in lane, also very tanky, should be able to provide space for E as well as Xiao A to be able to lay down the pain against Dragon Ranger.
Dragon Ranger, they're going for the Nuwa themselves. A lot of artillery mage damage flying in from the backline together with the Mayin. So they are going for a guerrilla playstyle, right? Trying to catch you off guard, trying to disrupt your formations. They don't have a frontliner, so that might be a problem. Yu Huan, he can sustain, yes, but he cannot stand up to burst.
Yeah, so let me offer you another perspective as well. I think they're taking a huge risk here. Yes, there is no tanks, But if they get the setup, they could definitely wipe Rogue Warriors really easily.
Definitely so. I mean, they have to find the correct targets. That's what I feel, right? They have to go on Luban Dashi. They have to go on Luban number 7. And these two will be the prime targets for Dragon Ranger. Because if they go on anyone else, which the last pick is Chang'e as well, so it might be a wrong choice.
Yeah, look, both teams now, I think it's going to be pretty evenly contested in the mid lane. Nuwa and Yuhuan in the mid lane, wave clear very strong, as well as Lucky on this Zarya, probably going to be supported by Xiao A, or maybe even a double lane prio for Yi, right? Take the mid lane, share that lane with Lucky, rotate down to get that farm lane farm as well.
Yeah, definitely very important in terms of early game rotations here. And I just fear for the fact that, I just don't like guerrilla playstyles. It's very hard to execute, but if Dragon Ranger executed well, it will be a beautiful game of jumping in and jumping out. Meanwhile, Rogue Warriors, they are taking a more honest team fight, right? You can clearly see how they want to take the team fight. They have the Byron, they have the Kaiser, one flanking, one in the front, and we have the damage in the back together with the mage damage as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna put very hard focus onto Rogue Warriors Fly here. Fly has a very important marker. He is going to be one of the best setups for the side of Rogue Warriors to be able to catch out people like the Nuwa, Dian in the mid lane, also be able to stun up the Triumphant if he uses his legal immunity preemptively in fights.
Yep, definitely so, but we'll just have to find out in the game because the execution-wise, it is a very different fundamental style of gameplay, right? You don't really have that top-down damage. You're taking the poke team fight with the Jing, with the mirror domain. You want to have the reflections going ham in the backline as well. So whether or not you have the access to the backline, whether or not Rogue Warriors can stop Dragon Ranger Gaming from going into their backlines.
Yeah, this repositioning is so important for the side of Rogue Warriors, right? And more importantly, I think the rotations are going to matter a lot. The speed of rotations on the side of Rogue Warriors is really going to determine the pacing of the game. Can they go into the mid game without giving up a kill?
Yeah, definitely so. And now we head on into game 2 of Dragon Ranger Gaming versus Rogue Warriors Esports.
Right, important markers here. Now, Dragon Ranger Gaming, they have successfully put their first step forward, a good step, 1-0. Rogue Warriors chasing and hoping to catch up in game number 2.
Yeah, and that mid lane hero that you see coming out from Jinyue and Lucky is actually Chang'e, right? Chang'e, it's not Zarya by the way, so it's Chang'e, and it's actually a very cool hero. Would you like to explain that, Ken?
Yep, so she is also responsible for one of the biggest bursts in the game. She is a close range hero. Her first skill throws out an orb, and if it does hit a hero, it will lock onto them. If not, it will fly back into her arms. Her second skill is a shield, as well as putting down a layer that is able to be sustained as long as she uses her mana. Now, her ultimate is the one that most teams will use to try and get the burst damage in. She will release a flurry of fairies that will deal damage onto you as well. But it requires her to be really close, so they have to be really careful on the side of DRG.
Yep, this is a short-range close combat mage coming in from Lucky here, and it has a lot of sustainability. So this is what I'm worried about for Rogue Warriors versus Dragon Ranger. I'm very worried about Dragon Ranger because there's a lot of frontline. If you think about it, right? They potentially have 3 tanks here. And for Dragon Ranger to shred through that, they're gonna need a lot of farm, especially on Direnjie. You have the range, yes, but whether or not you get the gold, that's important.
Yeah, definitely. I think farm in this game is super important as well. You can see here Mulan actually out-damaging E for a little bit before he actually takes a step back. But in this first 2 minutes of the game, we have not seen the utmost aggression, right? Because whoever gives off first blood actually does give off quite a bit of advantage to the opponent team.
Yes, definitely so, and I'm very looking forward to see how this Chang'e gets piloted, because in day 1 and day 2 we did not see this at all, and I really like this concept, right? Using your mana as a resource towards your HP. Now Chang'e can do that. That's why she is scaling so well, and she's one of the top picks in that mid lane as well.
Yep, the setup from Fly as well as Shuang needs to be really clean for this game. And I think based on the stats that we have of Rogue Warriors, look, Shuang is known as one of the highest controlling players in this game. He should be able to set up the situation where Lucky is able to get the full damage and duration of his ultimate down onto the members of Dragon Ranger. But it also needs to be an important marker on who they catch here.
Yeah, and Mayin is super important here, right? Whether or not she finds that catch, because she's the only semblance of control that they have on Dragon Ranger. Like, if you identify what Dragon Ranger are doing, they just have a lot of damage, a lot of sustain, but they don't have frontline, they don't have control. Mayin is the only one. So it's very dependent on Hua Yin's movement, whether she can find the flank onto Lucky or onto Yi.
Yeah, and also, I mean, they could set up with the Dian matrices, but it's really hard. So I think it's more reliable to really take a look at Hua Yan, how he sets up for the team.
I think I'm gonna win the lottery before Dian can set up with his matrices, because it's very hard to do in KPL. They have so good positioning. Yeah, it's not every day that you can set up the matrix.
Okay, so right now, both teams will focus on that wave clear. They want to clear this as fast as possible, get into a good position for that first Tyrant of the game.
Yes, first Tyrant at 4-minute mark, and Rogue Warriors, they already have control of that river. That portion is very important. Fly solo on this top lane. Dragon Ranger, they're trying to go for a trade for the top lane, and instantly, Tyrant gets just bursted down, and Fly holds onto the top lane. No trade taken.
Yep, it's a very small situation where Dragon Ranger 1-1 actually goes and take a singular camp away from Rogue Warriors, and I think it's little wins like that. So if you balance it overall, actually both teams secure one objective, but he gets one extra camp against Rogue Warriors.
Yep, definitely small little wins, but Rogue Warriors, they still triumph at the end of the day over that gold grab, right? They still have that net worth advantage, and it will slowly build up with those overlords spawning as well, because lane pressure is going to push them. That's why you don't really favor that overlord in that first 4 minutes of the game, because Rogue Warriors, they're poised to fight right now with the Tyrant buff.
Yeah, the lightning charges coming in for the Tyrant buff is very valuable because it allows you to clear the lanes faster. But here we go, it's going to be a 2-on-1. He's trying to just get them back, and this is actually valuable information for the side of DRG. The rotations start coming in, and it looks like that information has been passed on to Rogue Warriors as well. They will back off for now.
Yep, definitely. And Luban Dashi is playing together with Luban number 7, able to deal the damage. Emergence. Actually, no, not emergence.
Committed, but Shuang, he's gonna drop his ultimate here. Gets the catch, can he get the damage? Annihilation comes in. It's not enough damage, they can't get the kill. And right now, First Blood does go over to the side of Dragon Ranger. A freebie in the form of Lucky as well. DRG, they take the lead.
An invasion gone wrong from the side of Rogue Warriors. They were in the heart of enemy territory. They did not need to be there. And that was an overextension, and it was punished from the side of Dragon Ranger. They instantly collapsed, and the rest of the members, Strong, Lucky, you're not able to tank that. And that's what I was worried about, whether the damage was enough. Now, my worries are gone.
Yeah, look, it's so scary, right? Because you would have committed. I think both of us can agree that, look, Dian was so low. He was one hit. One more hit would have done it. I don't blame Shuang for his decision to continue chasing.
Yeah, and just that difference. It's always a saying where you said, almost is never enough. And Rogue Warriors can go home today saying that they almost won Dragon Ranger if they killed Dian. But that was an almost situation for me. And if you take a look at the replay here, that flash usage across that little terrain here, with the rest of the team collapsing, instantly punishing the mistakes from Rogue Warriors. If you show a little bit of weakness here at KPL, you will get punished.
Yeah, 1-1 even committed the smite just to slow Shuang down so that he couldn't reach him. If he did not commit the smite, I think Dian actually would have given the first blood here.
Yeah, but it's still a hard fight for Dragon Ranger, barring more mistakes for the side of Rogue Warriors, because they do have a very tanky lineup. As long as they don't group up like that again versus 1-1's Mirror Domain, that is a very scary tool to have. That Mirror Domain can potentially zone you out, so Rogue Warriors need to find other angles right now.
Okay, get the catch. There is a reduction in armor. It's not going to be enough. Shuang takes a fall in this fight. Rogue Warriors, they overcommit once again.
And once again, where was it? It was in the enemy territory. Rogue Warriors, they keep trying to force these engages in the enemy territory once and once again. They do have the layer scaling lineup with the Lupan Dashi and Lupan number 7, but they are kind of pushing it at this stage, right? But of course, nothing for naught, because they still do not lose any objectives over that.
Yep, it's a painful experience for them. And yes, they have not lost any objectives. No turrets taken yet for the side of DRG. But 1-1 now, he's at 6,500. He is 2,000 gold ahead of Shuang. And a 2-level advantage as well. So a lot of damaging stats coming out from the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the heat map down there, you can see that Dragon Ranger, they aren't really extending into the enemy territory. They're not taking away the enemy's resources, but yet they're finding it because Rogue Warriors is over-aggressing right now. But now...
Oh, what? They stole it? And 1-1 actually gets it with the smite as well. So Rogue Warriors, when it rains at Paul so far, 2,000 gold lead going to the side of DRG. Annihilation going to be dropped down as well. Emerges just for scouting. But Rogue Warriors, I don't think they can hold this for too long.
Yes, Rogue Warriors, they still have that later scaling lineup, I feel. Dragon Ranger, they have to make use of this lead to find an objective sooner or later, right? They need to push Rogue Warriors into their base.
Okay, it's not all doom and gloom as well. Look, if you take a look at E on this Lupan number 7, he's at close to 6,500, right? So he's actually one of the main win conditions for Rogue Warriors. He hasn't died yet, and I think that is good news for Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. No doom and gloom, because Rogue Warriors, they do have that later scaling lineup. So definitely, if Dragon Ranger do not make use of the advantage here, they don't push these turrets within that 12-minute mark, Rogue Warriors, they're gonna have a great time, and they have took the objectives very well, right? Taking the Vanguard now at this 8-minute mark will secure some form of lane pressure to protect their own resources. So Rogue Warriors, they might have overextended, but they have recovered very well.
Yep, they have about a 3-level space to try and end this game on their side of Dragon Ranger Gaming, right? E now at level 13, so there's 2 levels left before he hits that 15 mark. They will try to go in. Here is Lucky with the ultimate as well. Not going to be able to lay enough damage. Does not manage to force out the unending sorrow coming out from Sibao here, but they will go for this next Tyrant. Let's see how this works out. Shadow version.
Shadow version popping up, both teams still posturing. If you took a look at the stat line, Rogue Warriors are still postured to win here.
Yeah, Fastlane is going at it, but it is going to be a reset on the Tyrant here. They're trying to go for the backlines. They have managed to find 1-1 and YN. Moonlan falling low as well. He is not a safe spot. Gets taken down by Yi with the long-range shots as well. And this is looking good for Rogue Warriors. Not only do they get the farm onto Yi, they get the kills as well. And Shadow Tyrant calmly in their hands.
This is the power spike coming in from Rogue Warriors. Dragon Ranger, if they found that timing, right? Dragon Ranger, if they found that timing in the earlier stages of the game, maybe it would have worked out for them because they had a farm advantage. But Rogue Warriors recovered so beautifully, and using that mirror domain just for one person is not ideal here. Mirror domain needs to be used for multiple people, and it needs to secure a kill. If you take a look at the replay here, forcing it out is Fly in that backline, forcing the issue in that backline. Mirror domain being used here means that you don't have enough damage onto Yi, you don't have enough damage onto Shuang. They can go ham on your front lines.
Yeah, very important, right? We're talking about Fly's rotations being very important at the start of this game. And so far, Fly has been making it work, right? That flash Storm Strike onto Dian really stopped his timing. So he really couldn't stop the rest of the team from reaching Moonlan in the backlines. And 1-1 actually was pretty lost because there were too many targets in a too big of a space. Mirror Domain is great, it's a big AoE skill, but you don't cover the entire map. So it was a tough situation.
Yeah, tough situation indeed, but forcing the commit out was one of Fly's better play. I feel that, yeah, in that situation, you couldn't do anything, but now that Fly knows that the mirror domain can be forced out that easily, Dragon Ranger needs to look at YN to be the one opening the team fight instead of 1-1 being the opener for now.
Yeah, I understand that as well, right? He needs to be the one that sets the fight. But that's why Fly is also going onto him, right? Right before that engagement, Fly was actually having a one-on-one, right? A solo battle to try and stop Hua Yan from getting into the appropriate engages. And right now, look, the time is ticking and Yi is level 15. The monster has been unleashed.
It is going to be crazy, right? This is why Rogue Warriors, they can do so well. This is a very clean execution lineup. They have 3 frontliners on the front line, and on paper, Dragon Ranger, they have to pull off the craziest micro team fight to win this. You have to land every single skill perfectly. And for Rogue Warriors to go down here, they have a lot of permutation combinations that they can fall back on because they have 3 tanks that can actually run at you. Lucky can run at you. Shuang can be the person who takes Fly's place with the Invincible Warrior as well, and Fly can be the one to run at your face. So they had swap and switch, and now Dragon Ranger, they're forced into this situation where they need to think, right? They're looking for another angle here. Do they have the map advantage to do so?
Yeah, definitely. You can see Hua Yan trying to find that position, right? Where is the best angle of entry to find Rogue Warriors backline? But so far, they're not allowing it. They're going to be staying on the right-hand side of the map, hiding the brushes as well. Vision is very obscured for the side of DRG.
Yeah, itemization-wise, they are still playing that poke battle from the Diren Jie and Luban number 7, but Luban number 7 is already 2,000 gold ahead. So that means this is a 1 item gold ahead for Luban number 7. You're gonna deal a lot more damage, and you can play much scarier because you have Luban Dashi in the back who can pull you back to safety.
Oh, what a catch! That is why you pick up the Ching. 1-1 gets the kill onto Yi. There is no more damage that is coming out from the side of Rogue Warriors. They have to back off. Not only do they lose the aggression, they might have given away the Shadow Overlord to the side of DRG.
Perfect execution, the combination of Hua Yan and 1-1. The only opening was to go on Yi. You go on Xiao A, Yi can still do damage. You go on Lucky, Yi can still do damage. But they found that little sweet spot. Now, Rogue Warriors, they're not in a dire situation, mind you. They have to do this a lot more times on the side of Dragon Ranger. Right? They need to keep finding Yi once and once again.
It's crazy, right? Because they actually got the vision because of Dian as well as Mulan. Mulan actually used his golden token to get the stun onto Yi. That's why he couldn't run away. At the same time, look, so much advantage going to the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming. They take up the Shadow Tyrant even though there was a Primal Bond as well.
Yeah, but we have been in this situation before, right? Ticking time bomb, what do? You want to force it in, but eventually it leads to a team fight. So Dragon Ranger, they have to execute it perfectly onto Yi one more time, and that's what we're looking forward to see, whether they find the combination once again.
Yeah, Mirror Domain gonna be used as a deterrent for the defense here, and maybe try it and go for the burst. Yi, that was a heart pain moment, right? At this point, they do get the tier 3, but they're not done just yet. Dragon Ranger, they take the T2 in the mid, and there is one more lane in contention, the Shadow Overlord flying down on the bottom.
Yes, this is Dragon Ranger playing it very perfectly. Their siege playstyle is very well done. Rogue Warriors, they have yet to commit, put their frontliners in that front line. They are still biting the damage. They're trying to absorb as much as possible.
Yep, 1-1 does have the Mirror Domain. Once again, jumps in, gets it down as well. Can they get the burst damage? No. Shuang will use that Invincible Warrior. Tries to push them all back. All 5 members on the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming. Gonna move back for a little bit. Hua Yan does take a bit of damage. Right now, they're looking for the escape mechanism. And Lucky as well. He's trying to lay down the pain. The flash comes in from Fly. Can he get the catch? Not gonna happen. The pushback from the creation on the side of Tien. Save the day once again. Dragon Ranger, they escape with just scratches.
And that's a very huge win for Dragon Ranger. They could have potentially lost the entire team there. If you looked at the back of Rogue Warriors, they were trying to chase them down, right? Chase them down as much as possible. Now Rogue Warriors, they can still go for the reset, they can still go for the fight, but they did get the advantage of getting that top tier turret, and they got a bit of damage. Rogue Warriors defending there is a silver lining though. It's very good for them because now they can rack up the gold. They can rack up the tank ability on Shuang, and that's very important. As long as he doesn't die, Dragon Ranger is still gonna have a hard time.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the most damaging heroes in this composition, but at the same time, they need to be very careful because both 1-1 and Moonlight does have the Crimson buff. They're able to deal burning damage, they're able to deal true damage as well. Everything falls onto the positioning of Dragon Ranger. They do get that movement coming in from Shuang. He's looking for an opening in the gaps on the side of Dragon Ranger, but nothing just yet.
I really like this positioning coming out from Shuang and Fly. The combo have been lit up. The duo are now playing on that front line, trying to be that vision force, that peel that Rogue Warrior needs because they don't want Yi to get picked off again. Now that positioning is going to get harder for Dragon Ranger to find that essential pickoff onto the key target.
Yep, Shuang, he's gonna try and push Shiba away, but I want you to take a look at what 1-1 is doing consistently, even before the fights happen. This is why he's able to get E. He actually uses his mirror image to get into a range of E, and if he finds that as an opportune moment, he swaps places, uses the mirror domain, and that's how they get the burst onto E successfully so far in the past few minutes.
Yeah, and now with the Luban Da Shi, I mean, there is a limited range to how much you can pull, and I feel that the mirror domain covers more than that. So if you can have that sort of timing, Yi might go down here once again.
Yeah, it really depends on how fast Xiao A's reactions are because it seems like 1-1 always has the opportune moment for the switch here. They will commit the Invincible Warrior. No, Shuang does not, but he's falling low. He has to do something at this point. The jump from 1-1, not gonna let them cut into the backlines of Dragon Ranger. They back out. There is that Shadow Tyrant for them to take.
Yeah, Shadow Tyrant indeed out on the map, but another thing is, it's gonna be 20 minutes really soon. In one more minute, right, the Tempest Dragon is going to be on the map. So ladies and gentlemen, we might have the first Tempest game of today.
Oh, they're gonna hold them here. The dragons are reaching into the base. Vanguards could be able to melt down the turret as well. Everyone on the side of Rogue Warriors has to back off for the moment. They're gonna try and reset this dragon, maybe look for an opening, a gap in the side of Rogue Warriors. At this point, they will play it safe. Rogue Warriors, they move back.
Crisis control has been done from the side of Rogue Warriors. Shadow Tyrant taken by neither team, so no advantage from the Tyrant buff there. But definitely both teams are reaching a spike in power where they are reaching their 6 item slots. If you take a look at the graph on the bottom, they all have their itemizations, their core itemizations already done. And if you take a look at what Kaiser's building, he's completely going for that tank build, right?
Yeah, it's a standard tank build. I think it's more important for Rogue Warriors to be able to sustain against the damage because there is a lot of burst potential coming from Dragon Ranger, right? And at this timing, I think maybe the biggest item that's going to make the difference is the Sage's Sanctuary. All those extra lives will be the difference maker in this potential last clash because Tempest Dragon is on the line.
Tempest Dragon is out and about, boys. Now, lucky, he does have that Savant's Wrath. He does have that Insatiable Tome. So whether or not he can find the damage factors, he has not been able to prove up value so far, but look at this!
Yep, they're gonna try and go in. Invincible Warrior committed by Shuang. He's trying to push the rest of the backline into the middle of the map on the side. But Dragon Ranger, they find the kill onto Shuang. There is very little tank ability on the side of Rogue Warriors. The base is also shredded on the bottom side. There is a minion that is pushing down. But right now, Rogue Warriors, they're hanging on.
Rogue Warriors hang on for now, but Dragon Ranger, they put themselves in a great situation, right? In this point, where you have 3 tanks, if one of them go down, your formation is essentially destroyed, and they are relying super heavily on Yi, which is their main win condition to deal the damage. Meanwhile, Lucky, he has not been able to find an opening. Now with this, Dragon Ranger, they free themselves of the Tempest Dragon, get it for totally nada, because Shuang, I felt way too out of position.
Yep, Sky Dome on 1-1 and Huayan. Right now, the challenge is, can the Warriors slay the Dragon Rangers because it's not looking good.
They're looking like the Dragon Rangers now, because if you take a look at the dragons on the map, those are the orange icons that the Tempest Dragon provides every 20 minutes. That when your game reaches 20 minutes, it is available to you to take as an objective. It's a very tanky dragon, but once you get it, you get 3 waves of orange dragons that melt down your turrets and deal consistent damage.
Yep, Wunlan does have the Sage's Sanctuary. They clear the base. It is a barren and open base on the side of Rogue Warriors. They're looking for the initiation. Shuang uses that Invincible Warrior, but the block comes in. The Matrix blocks their way. Shuang is going to be taken down at this point, and the gap is open. Rogue Warriors torn apart from the side, and Dragon Rangers, they get the kills. Right now, there's just E left. The base is completely open, and it's going to be game number 2, Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Wow, Dragon Ranger Gaming, they overcome adversity once again. It was looking dire for them because Rogue Warriors, they did have the layer scaling lineup, but they found the opening time and time again, exploiting the mistakes that Rogue Warriors were making, overcommitting in the enemy jungle, putting Yi out of position. They keep finding these little cracks.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was patience is the virtue, right? And I think they were just a little bit flustered on the side of the opponents here for Rogue Warriors. They wanted to get that advantage, and you could see why they wanted to go for the advantage, because the draft is so strong. If Yi had had the advantage, this game would have turned out so much differently.
A lot of calmness, a lot of mentality is needed in this higher stages of the game, especially when we reach the final day, we approach closer to grand finals, and a lot of teams are now feeling the pressure. Even veterans like Rogue Warriors, they tend to make the mistakes of overcommitting, and you can tell how much they want to equalize against Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yeah, it's so scary to take a look at what the strength of this DRG squad was, right? There's so many difficulties that they put across to the side of Rogue Warriors. Every time Shuang uses Invincible Warrior, wanted to jump in, suddenly you have Tian who's pushing him back with his first kill creation, and that is just the first step of slowing him down. They also get the Matrix blocking his way out. So suddenly he finds himself in a position where he can't attack, he can't run, and it's almost instant death for him.
Yeah, they reach that late game stage of power where a lot of artillery damage can be laid down by Nuwa. And of course, there is that mirror domain that they need to worry about, right? I really like what Shuang was doing, putting himself in that front position by being the main tank, but it felt like it wasn't enough in the later stages of the game because it was working out. It was working out maybe like 17 to 19 minutes. But once that 20-minute mark hit, there was a lot of damage that Xing was able to put out, and it was going to be a huge threat. And that's why assassin junglers are kind of still very heavily favored in the meta.
Oh, for sure. At this point, I think it was really just the threat of Wan being able to get his hands onto Yi that was the main problem for the side of Rogue Warriors, right? Because you can't stun an illusion, and he could swap places at any time. So there were a couple of moments where this is one of the difficulties of playing Lupan number 7 and Master Lupan against a Jing, because nobody has enough control to stop him in time. There's too much burst.
And now we see another invincible stat line being broken, right? Yesterday we saw that, yeah, there's a 100% win rate on AG, and of course it got taken away. But now we saw that 87.5% being taken away as well. But taking a look at the itemizations and the stats, they had the gold on Lupan number 7, but if you take a look at the spread gold on Dragon Ranger,
yeah, it's so crazy, right? And you know, I want to bring you back to the point you're saying that they don't have the tanks, and it was a huge risk. I think we agree that it was a huge risk, and they took an even bigger risk because Sipao didn't go for tank. He went for even more magic aggression here. And take a look at the total damage that they did. DRG, close to 100,000 for almost all the members here.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to not having a tank is more damage, because that is a kind of playstyle as well. I said that it's two fundamental different type of playstyle. They don't have a tank, but they have to execute it very well, right? They were very patient and they executed it very well. If you take a look at Bayin, the only one who can try and engage into these fights, he only went for one tank item. The rest is all damage.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Who needs shields? Give us 2 swords or give us boxing gloves. We will deal the damage here. And Rogue Warriors, I like the draft. I think it made sense as well, but they couldn't find that protection onto E. And that was one of the main problems they could not solve throughout the game.
Yeah, but still, back to the drawing board here. They have used their Lupin number 7 and Lupin combo. They have lost with it, right? So now that it is this situation, you can see that Xiao A, he could not deal as much as Vision when it comes to Sibao.
Yeah, it was also a problem of control, and the guy who is controlling this entire game is none other than our MVP Moonlan here. The amount of times he landed his ultimate, that golden token was the golden moment for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming as well. Every stun mattered so much. He set up the kills on E, gave that lead onto 1-1, made sure that the fear of this thing was real on the side of Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, they had nobody going in, just but raw damage. And Ding with the reflections, but definitely the man of the match has to be Moonlan, who played that spacing very perfectly, despite the fact that Lupin number 7 had the Lupin Dasher on the other side.
Yep, it was so difficult, and it all started crumbling because they wanted to get this kill onto Tien. Look, he was one hit. This one must hurt in the eyes of Rogue Warriors, man.
The way that the rest of the team collapsed, it shows a lot of synergy between Dragon Ranger Gaming. And of course, we saw them prove it, right? We saw them prove it in the upper brackets as well. They were a force to be reckoned with. This team is a team. And if you look at Yi just get bursted down here, oh my God, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's so critical of that moment, right? Because Tien, look, the more levels you have as a Nuwa, the bigger vision you have as well. So they actually caught eyes onto E pretty much the moment he stepped out of that brush. And the combination of the stuns coming in have been so important. Now Moonlan, I think we really need to celebrate his amount of ultimates that he landed onto the side of Rogue Warriors, because he really was that critical moment for the team.
Yeah, and the amount of times that I said in the first game where 1-1 on the pay did so well is one of the reasons why he does so well is because he always notices his backlines, right? He's always aware of what is happening to his entire team. And I felt that Shuang kind of needs that because he needs to take a look at what is going on to his backlines, because when he is diving his front lines, his backline is getting destroyed. And definitely there is not enough tankability. Lucky going down there, Yi going down there, that's your win conditions. You gotta protect them.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think that the tankiness coming in from the side of Rogue Warriors was very good, but the thing was they couldn't find a way to get consistent damage. Lucky's pick onto the Chang'e, I like it as well, right? Chang'e actually offers a lot of burst, but she needs a bit of time to land those damage, and there was not enough control. You had Fly, but Fly can only control people for so long, and if you miss out that window of opportunity for damage to come in from your Chang'e, there's no more, right? Because Yi is constantly under threat from this Jing. 1-1 made it so difficult for him to even step out in the open.
And definitely that Byron pick also not paying dividends for them in the mid stages of the game. He just could not find an opening versus the Mayin because Mayin was playing too close to his team. And Fly, I mean, definitely he did try, right? He did have multiple jumps in, but it was punished so hard by Dragon Ranger, who identified exactly what they were gonna do, and with the ability to push people away, that Niwa did so much pushing away, like just don't touch my team. I know you're a melee hero, just don't touch my team.
Yeah, I want to hear the comms for the teams later, especially for Dragon Ranger Gaming. I think if you notice what they were doing before when they were backing out of fights, it wasn't like one player moving off and then, you know, the rest of them slowly traversing back. It was one call. All members suddenly backed off in one straight line, right? And I think that's one of the biggest synergy differences between Dragon Ranger and Rogue Warriors, because look, Rogue Warriors was consistently behind, and I think that really contributed to a decision difference between the team members there.
Yeah, I mean, the decision making as well as the unity of the team. This is what a lot of the teams talk about in the interviews, right? AG said that one of the reasons why they are the top teams is they are united. And definitely you can feel the unity coming out from Dragon Ranger in terms of team synergy as well. When they make a call, they actually commit with it. Meanwhile, Rogue Warriors, I mean, their name is Rogue Warriors. It seems like they are going rogue, right? You can see that Fly and Strong, they are going rogue, and they just have a little bit of a timing difference with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think also, you know, this is a very standard draft coming out from the side of Rogue Warriors, right? The moment you have a Master Lupan and Lupan number 7, it comes to a situation where you are desperately in need of tanks. But as you can see in this particular game of our best of 7, you also need quite a bit of control. And Shuang was supposed to be able to provide that, and he will be able to provide that as a Kaiser. But the issue here was the difference in items, which is why, you know, that initial start where they managed to take quite a couple of turrets in lead, right? It was so difficult. But let's take a look at what this is going to be like for the third game of the series here.
Yeah, definitely. Back to the drawing board for both teams here, as now the Lupan combo is out for the side of Rogue Warriors. It's going to be a very scary thing to go up against because you don't have that pocket pick anymore. You attempted to get the point back, but you still have much more. All is not lost here, right? You can still go for the Loom. The Guan Yu is still available for you to take, and that could be an option.
You know what? If I'm on the side of DRG, I would say let's give them the Guan Yu. Let's play the Dolia lane combination, right? He can try to catch as many members as we can, but we're gonna melt their backline before they do it. Right? I think that's one potential strategy they could go with.
Yeah, they could do that as well, right? Dolia could be a potential takeaway pick from the side of Rogue Warriors because DRG, they have a very high win rate with the Dolia as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think now having exhausted quite a few tanks, I think they also don't have the Algren. They might be forced to pick up an assassin jungler at this point.
Yeah, Kaiser no longer available. Algren no longer available. What do you go for here? Agudo? I sure think that Agudo might be good. You can play a pay of your own as well. Shuang is, of course, well known for his pay, but 1-1 already picked that, so they don't have that option. So Dragon Ranger, they might just ban it out, and they do actually.
Yeah, so now let's talk about Dragon Ranger, right? I think Agudo makes sense for them as well. Parry the channel, you have insane turret pressure.
Definitely, they will have insane turret pressure, and now with the Lady Sun banned out, they actually take out the Dolia themselves, so they don't want that going in the hands of Dragon Ranger because that's a potential combo that they might take, right? Dolia, you pick first. It's a very good flex combination. You can pick anything afterwards. It necessarily might not be the lane, but Dragon Ranger, they open up with the Yuan Liu Zhizi, also known as the Yuan Liu.
Yeah, now Rogue Warriors, do they want to disrupt this combination by taking away the Da Chao for themselves, or do they want to go for the Guan Yu here to push them away before they even get to that Sea of Fate? That's a couple of potential situations that Rogue Warriors can create for themselves, but I can guarantee you, almost soft guarantee maybe, Dragon Ranger, they're looking at the Yingzhen this game. They want to get the tank coming in and just peel them from afar.
Yingzhen, Diadea, there's a lot of good picks in the jungle as well. Agudo, but they pick up the Menki. The Arlie is still available, so if Rogue Warriors want to pick it up, Dragon Ranger have to deny it away from them, and they might do so. Oh, they pick up the Diadea first.
Yep. The idea lockdown is pretty insane. It does change the fight with the bit of farewell as well. And like you said, right, the Arlie. So they will go for this front line, right, where 1-1 on this Yuan Liu is going to be making pressure, giving pressure across to the side of the Rogue Warriors, and then hopefully Mulan finds space to get those snipes in.
Ooh, 87% win rate, and he has played it 8 times. Mulan, there's a reason why teams are trying to blanket ban him, right? He is also one of the premier farm laners, and with that stat line, it's something very scary to go against, but stat lines are just stat lines, right? Rogue Warriors, they had an 87.5% win rate with the Lupan, Dashi, and Lupan number 7. It didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, stats, they're good. They're good for reference, good for information as well. But it really comes down to your performance in the Gorge, right? You need to have the calm and composed nature and teamwork and synergy within your team. Now, Rogue Warriors, they're really concerned about, once again, the tank not being able to tank through all the damage, so they actually take out the big heroes like the Shikong, the Angela, the Lady Chen, who offer not only just control, they offer damage as well. And with that, Dragon Ranger, I like this composition. They want to get rid of the same kind of concept. Let's not deal with the control factors. So they'll take away the Liang, take away the Dharma, as well as the Shen Mengxi, Cat Boom.
Yeah, I mean, Guan Yu is still available for Rogue Warriors, right? If they want to pick Guan Yu, they can do that as well. For Dragon Ranger, though, what will be available? I mean, the Charlotte is there as well. They do pick up the Charlotte, and you said about the Ying Zhen as well. It's still there.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Because this particular composition, it works in their favor if they're able to just get the damage in before the fight even starts, similar to what they were doing in game number 1 and game number 2, right? Right now, Rogue Warriors, I think it's a little bit difficult. There is a huge risk of playing the Ziya in the mid. He has great wave clear, but he's very susceptible to the Charlotte here, who will have a wonderful game if they make that early rotation.
And that Cao Cao pick actually does not answer for much. Rogue Warriors are going for a guerrilla playstyle of their own, actually. Menki, of course, is a very good setup tool with that Dream Roam. You can potentially fly in from extremely far. You have a lot of sustain as well, a lot of tank ability, but you're the only one doing it, right? Cao Cao, you have a lot of mobility, but you're not just that tanky.
Yeah, I think maybe they are considering about trying to play with the waves, right? To try and get the split pushes going instead of going for that fight against Dragon Ranger, because I think it's really unfortunate for them. It's a very difficult position to be in. You don't get the fair fights with Dragon Ranger's draft. You have to fight them at half health.
Yeah, because the poke damage coming out from Ying Zhen with her ultimate is going to be a scary tool. Usually, we see the Ying Zhen, right? That ultimate is a sea of swords in a straight line, and it's going to deal a lot of damage before the fight even starts. So meanwhile, Rogue Warriors, I'm just looking for any form of sustain. They have a form of sustain tool available with the Sea of Fate and Eye of the Whirlpool, right? You can technically heal up and then join up the team fight as well. So that's something of an angle that they can use as well.
Yeah, I think so. At the same time, besides just sending them back home to get that extra life, so it becomes essentially a 5v6, I think it's very important that they manage to get the gold advantage. Because, look, they have a safe recovery in the sense where Ziya's Sanctification, his passive, allows him to gain levels pretty fast, right? And if he feeds this into E on this channel, or maybe even feed it into Shuang on this Menki, they're going to be very tanky, they're going to have a lot of damage, and maybe they can overpower them in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, Menki, of course, you require a form of early advantage to be actually useful in the later stages of the game because you do fall off pretty hard. And of course, you have that Chano, right? Chano, I feel that it's one of the mobile farm lanes, but it does not compare very well against the Arlie because Arlie is the queen of mobility here. There's so much poke damage coming from afar, and combined with the Ying Zhen, I don't know whether the Eye of the Whirlpool and Sea of Fate will be enough.
We'll see. I think it's a tough situation for Rogue Warriors, and I think we both agree. While it's tough, it's not something that they can't overcome, right? They're called Warriors for a reason.
Yeah, hopefully they don't go rogue here as we head on into game number 3. Dragon Ranger having a clean sweep of 2-0, looking to put things into map point, and Rogue Warriors still looking to make a scratch.
Right away, Lucky is not having a good time, getting poked out a little bit by the Boom Shibao, just dealing some damage against them.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of problems on the bottom lane as well. Xiao A, he does have that Leaping Koi Tide that will deal quite a lot of poke damage in the start of the game. But Rogue Warriors, essentially, they have that weaker poking game when it comes down to the level 4s. Having that ultimate, that Ying Zhen, is just so scary.
Yes, it is, definitely. I think playing from range is one of the things that they need to be very worried about on the side of Rogue Warriors. But I also want to explore the strengths of their draft, right? So Rogue Warriors, if you take a look at the composition itself, actually they're quite disruptive. They have a multitude of stuns coming in. Every single person has some sort of control ability, maybe with the exception of Chano. His doesn't really count as a full-on stun, it doesn't proc the passives on items, but still, it buys a bit of time when he jumps and leaps and shoots the arrow in your face, right?
Yeah, and Rogue Warriors, they are going to have to play that guerrilla playstyle that Dragon Ranger was playing. They have to be very patient here, right? And I hope that they have the patience to pull this lineup off. Because currently, yeah, Shrong, you're the only scalability going in, and now he's getting gone on here. Okay, but he will be able to
put
escape.
as much pressure as possible.
Definitely, that's going to be the case. Pressure will be the key to the game here as we fall into the later stages. Maybe at the 4-minute mark, we're going to see whether Rogue Warriors, they can execute it really perfectly.
Yeah. Another thing that is a pretty strong strength on the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming is Mulan does have the Maple Dance. He's able to negate quite a bit of skill shots coming in from Rogue Warriors.
That Maple Dance, I mean, it's a very, very viable skill shot thing where micro plays are rewarded, right? And Dragon Ranger, they pick it up for Mulan. You know that he's great on this hero, so yeah, you're somewhat giving up the option of having projectiles in his face because you know he's gonna land those Maple Dances correctly.
Yeah, it could be a big moment, right? Like, example, look, Universal Law coming out from Lucky, it could be a big moment for the side of Rogue Warriors to fight. But at the same time, if it gets negated by Mulan, in conjunction with other skills like the Leaping Koi Tide or even just the bubble coming out from Shuang, that is a lot of damage that is gone from the team fight, and suddenly you're out of damage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have to look at that Maple Dance cooldown very, very precisely. Rogue Warriors, they're gonna have to play the law of precision here, right? You have to count cooldowns, you have to count battle spells, but that is just another day in the office for the boys here at KPL.
Yeah, so far it's a very slight lead for the side of Mulan, but a lead nonetheless, 400 gold ahead in the hands of this R lead, right? So is it going to be the best situation against E? Not yet, but I want to talk about the Ziya for a bit. This translation, 5 battles, he picked up 5 times, 4 wins with an average of 7,000 damage. Number 1 in the league on the side of Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of stat lines coming out, but already a mid-skirmish here. Both of these junglers are extremely tanky, and the Sea of Fate already used to bring Strong back to base and the Whirlpool. Now they go for this extended team fight once again. Ziya setting up in the backline. This is all because the Tyrant is spawning at the 4-minute point. Rogue Warriors, they want to get a semblance of an advantage. They're worried about the poke damage. Now Rogue Warriors, they finally take the Tyrant. Now with that buff, they are trying to take more objectives. Hopefully Dragon Ranger don't get a trade here. Rogue Warriors, they need the net worth.
Yep, they definitely need it. At this point, the good thing for them is Lucky is level 9, right? So he needs about another 6 more levels to hit that level 15 for Sanctification, and then all of a sudden, Rogue Warriors will have a decent power spike.
Yeah, that power spike at level 15 is something that we have yet to see out of the Ziyas, right? Usually when the Ziya is picked, I mean, once you reach level 15, you either win or lose the game already. So Rogue Warriors, they want to equalize as much as possible. But now Dragon Rangers, they're looking to equalize with a turret of their own. They're trading turrets from the bottom and top lane.
Yep, T1 for a T1. At this point, 5 minutes into the game, Rogue Warriors, I think, actually in a better position. Even though they don't have the goal lead at this point, the game will slowly swing over to their favor.
Now grouped up as 4 is Dragon Ranger going into the middle bush. They will find Shuang in the midst of things, and Ziya at the back, not the key target that they can go for at this point with Shuang protecting him. Rogue Warriors are doing such a great job as they posture here, but Dragon Ranger, they have collapsed all 5. I have the Whirlpool has been used. Hua Yan available to come from the bottom lane as well. Rogue Warriors, do they want to go for more here? No, they do not. They disengage and get the macro. Very well done. Good discipline.
Yeah, and right now Shuang is doing a brilliant job. He's not only tanking, but also able to deal quite a bit of damage against the likes of Dragon Ranger, right? Sibao, every time he tries to create a situation for the team, his health falls scarily low. And Rogue Warriors, that could be something they capitalize off of.
And Strong is essentially playing back to game 1, where he is that scalability character, right? That tankiness character in the form of the Ogren that he played in the game 1 as well. Now he's main key, right? You have that similar level of setup, you have that similar level of tankiness, but of course, different kit, different mobility, and whether or not he can find the space this time is going to be very important.
Yes, and actually, I think it's an upgrade, right? Because now he has decent control. He has a Dream Roam, able to set up multi-man stuns as well. And Rogue Warriors, they do have the composition to deal damage over time with the wolves coming out from Yi. They do have the stuns and bursts coming out from Lucky as well. So everything is looking good for Rogue Warriors. They just need to make sure they have the farm.
Now with the invasion going on from Dragon Ranger, they do get that Azure Golem, one more resource stolen, and now a trade coming out from Rogue Warriors, turret for a turret, but Dragon Ranger, they want more. Yi is still all the way at the top lane, so Rogue Warriors, they don't want to overcommit into this. That Sea of Fate being used perfectly as they disengage from the battle. They have to go for this guerrilla fight as soon as possible, and Yi eventually gets the turret as well. Great trade.
Yep, so smart, right? Rogue Warriors, they understand how to play a little bit better in this game, right? Instead of going full on, let's go for the kills, let's do it more subtly. Let's go for the split pushes, we take your attention, but we let Yi farm.
Yep, and now we might have a semblance of a team fight, right? They know that Charlotte is not around. There's no way to get the Charlotte into the team fight. They have to disengage her. And Dragon Ranger, with the guise of Yingzhen's ultimate, they do so. Agudo gets sent back to base. And Rogue Warriors, they're still playing it very disciplined, very cool. I like this form of the Rogue Warriors.
Yep, they definitely need this. At this point, the setup is available for Rogue Warriors. If they want to go for a fight, this could be something that they could benefit off of.
Yeah, and now they're waiting for the Cao Cao to collapse before they try and commit to this top lane here. The rest of the team will be falling through, and Dragon Ranger, they respond first. They manage to find the pick on the Lucky. That's huge coming in from the side of Dragon Ranger. They have lost the magic damage, and they will try to disengage. The Whirlpool is there laid, but then it is useless in the eyes of Dragon Ranger because Rogue Warriors, they have lost their magic damage already.
Yep, in the comparison of rookies, Hua Yan is the rookie superstar at this point. That flash committal for that power gradation, his ultimate onto Lucky as well. The setup was perfect. Dragon Ranger still steadily in the lead.
Yeah, look at this replay here, right? They were waiting for Cao Cao to be that setup. They were waiting for Strong to be that setup. But Ziya, Lucky, overextending his hand there. He flickered, he flashed away, but not enough. Definitely, as we continue on into 9 minutes of the game, this channel power spike has to come sooner or later. Of course, you still need a sustainable goal advantage versus the Arlie, because Arlie, she's gonna have that mobility edge over you. She's gonna have that defensive edge over you. Chano is much more of an aggressive character that falls behind when you don't have that Zhenren, Tai Zhenren. And you don't have that second life, you can't play that much uninhabited, you can't play that much unhinged. But now with Dragon Ranger consistently applying the pressure, it's gonna be hard.
There's too big of a goal gap at this point. It's about close to 4,000 right now. The heal values coming out from Shibao is making the difference in the fights, right? So they're getting consistent pokes on the side of Rogue Warriors onto DRG, but the heals coming out from Shibao, that hard link, is so valuable just right now.
Yeah, there is a lot of sustain coming out from side of Dragon Ranger, actually. Rogue Warriors, they can't take this fight easily. Strong, he's been falling extremely low, right? Always at 1/8 HP, always at 1/4 HP at the start of the fight. Eye of the Whirlpool is used. Yes, does he want to go in here? They commit and fly. Not able to find the opening. Strong is falling extremely low. They won't have the Sea of Fate. 1-1. Goes down, though, in the back line, but Charlotte responds with a kill of his own, but Strong eventually falls as well. 2 members already down as the Tyrant goes the way of Dragon Ranger. They want to push the advantage. Ultimate being popped from the side of Dian, and Rogue Warriors, they disengage, luckily.
I mean, Hua Yan, what a play. He made the world's difference in that fight, right? Rogue Warriors, it looked like there was a good play. Fly actually got one of the best flanks ever in that engagement, but Hua Yan made sure that effort was mute, completely gone, because he was on the back line, he's trying to get rid of Lucky, and of all the people to fall, Shuang fell as well. He's supposed to be one of the tankiest members on the side of Rogue Warriors, and Hua Yan is not allowing him to do his job.
Yeah, Hwayan has been a key factor in keeping Rogue Warriors at bay. His singular plays. Just watch this replay, man.
Yeah, he was going onto the backlines. He was looking for that a singular member in the form of Lucky. That flash committed. It held them back because everyone was supposed to save him. He was the big burst with the universal law. He was supposed to be the turnaround. And because Hwayan was onto him, the rest of Rogue Warriors couldn't continue their aggression anymore.
And that's the thing, right? That's the thing that I really like about Wan on this Yuandu or whoever he is playing on. He's so aware of his backlines. Every time they're getting jumped, he's instantly there to save them. But meanwhile, Shuang, he is preoccupied with a lot of things because he has to do so much. And it feels like they're putting a lot of hopes onto Shuang at this moment. I feel like they can alleviate the pressure of some of it if Fly were a bit more aggressive. But currently, Fly has not found any openings on the Cao Cao so far.
Yeah, look, they're not allowed to use their strengths at this point on the side of Rogue Warriors, right? Because every single moment, the composition is a composition that shines when you're able to layer those stuns, right? Lucky getting his Divine Punishment, Xiao A landing those Severing Surges, Leaping Koi Tides, and then you also have the Dream Roam initiation from Shuang. That is supposed to be that ideal combination coming in from Rogue Warriors. But every single time, Hwayan disrupts this by just jumping into their faces. And it's so difficult to play, especially when situations like Dian opening his ulti.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of poke damage, and you don't really want to commit too much. You don't really want to use the Sea of Fate and have Whirlpool combo if it's not a team fight. So now at this stage of the game, these cooldowns become much more important because these are not small skirmishes anymore. These are game-losing skirmishes if you make a slight mistake. Now, Cao Cao, Fly, he's all the way on the top lane. The rest of the team members of Dragon Ranger, they managed to save him from the side of Rogue Warriors with the Whirlpool. Very well done so far. But that's one key utility wasted.
Yeah, man, I like this. They funnel all the gold into Hwayan. He's at 11,000. He's 6 slotted. He is a menace against the side of Rogue Warriors. Dian, once again, opening his ultimate, pushing them away.
Yeah, it definitely is. And remember, Dragon Ranger, they will be at match point if they win this here. So Rogue Warriors, they are ever so desperate to defend this. Now, they have done a great job on the other hand for Rogue Warriors, right? They have funneled the farm onto Yi.
Yeah, it is important, but this defense is looking a bit difficult because Dian once again is going to open up his ulti. They jump in.
Yeah, they do jump in, not able to find the connection onto Shuang so far. They don't want to overcommit, not to make the same mistakes as the opponent, right? This is what lost them the game just now. Now Rogue Warriors, they're skirmishing this slowly, but the siege eventually comes through as Dragon Ranger get the objective that they are here for.
Yep, and they also get access into the Azure Golem at this point. Rogue Warriors, this is a big difficulty for them. They need to protect this buff.
And Azure Golem not able to be defended so far. I mean, Jianyue eventually takes it up for himself. And that's not a bad target to have the Azure buff in this stage of the game because you do have that cooldown reduction. But now, with this Tyrant, do Rogue Warriors fight this with the lane pressure on the top lane?
Oh, nice catch.
Oh, there's a catch on the bottom. And now Charlotte, he does find the pick onto Fly. That's one member down for free. Dream Roam being used right now, but not able to find anything. Dian finds the damage onto Lucky. Now 2 members down for Rogue Warriors without any response as they get chased down into their face. Now Xiao A will follow suit as well. 3 members up. Dragon Ranger, they might have just done it as the rest of the members do not have the ability to defend the base here as it will fall all too soon. Dragon Ranger collapse on to Rogue Warriors with the match point. They put themselves at 3-0.
Oh, 3rd time's the charm here. DRG, Dragon Ranger Gaming, so close, just 1 game away. And right before the game ended, they were at a 10,000 goal lead, 10 out of 10 scoreline for the side of Dragon Ranger. How do they respond? Rogue Warriors.
Rogue Warriors, I mean, they were patient. They bided their time. They did everything that they needed to do, but it just felt like Dragon Ranger Gaming were 4 to 5 steps ahead, right? With the fact that Charlotte can jump the backline so easily, this is just a very huge problem because they were trying to control her, but they could not find her.
Yep. this is a moment we need to hear the discussion.
没大，我那波大招差2秒，有大你就活了。
知道你这个人说了，
有大你就活了。
正常来说，他应该是什么情况？他只大小阿里，我们相对来说相对来说小难受一点点。他怎么？不会太
哎，他觉得我好打阿里，他是这么觉得。
我现在没有觉得这么，我现在真没。
你只要不跟他对线，他就可以了。
有烧水的话，阿里。
Difficult situation, right? I think if you're on the side of DRG, I think the win condition was pretty clear because, like we said, at the start of the game, there was no way you're going to be able to defend against Dian. You're going to have to eat the damage, and that was exactly what happened.
Yeah, Ingzhen is such a scary pick, and I mean, given the fact that they had so much poke potential, with the fact that they had the Arlie as well, they were able to play that playstyle so well and make enough space for Charlotte to have that finish, right? Hua Yan was playing that to a T, and I mean, you said that this is this guy's first time in KPL? He's a rookie? I don't think so, man. This guy is performing so well.
Yeah, exactly. I think his performance, look, the game sense and to know exactly what to do, when to do it, has been phenomenal. Like this guy, it feels like he's your perfect employee, right? You want someone who has come in with 10 years of experience and he's new.
Exactly. I get that all the time in my job applications, right? You want 10 years of experience, and yeah, and he's not even 10 years old. You get Hua Yan.
Okay, we don't support like underage hiring, but don't worry, we get the message as well. Right now, look, he has to be the MVP. The Charlotte that he played, Hua Yan, absolute perfection. He didn't deal the most damage, 57, but he did create so many situations that Dragon Ranger Gaming could benefit from.
Yeah, I believe there's a difference between poke damage and effective damage, right? Dian, he did a lot of poke damage, 107k on that poke damage, but it didn't convert into any kills. But meanwhile, Charlotte was the finisher, and I feel that that is very important because almost is not good enough. You gotta kill them off.
Yeah, so close but no cigar on the side of Rogue Warriors at this point. And as we head into what may be potentially the last game of the series, this is the moment that actually could be a big turnaround because look, we have run through quite a bit of heroes on the side of Dragon Ranger as well. Rogue Warriors, there is a very high potential to try and turn this around.
So what you're saying is this is a strat from Rogue Warriors to actually run out the heroes of Dragon Ranger? Now they don't have the Arlie, they don't have the Yuan Liu Zizi. Rogue Warriors are gonna come back. It's gonna be an ultimate battle?
Yep, I like your rendition of this understanding. It could be true. It could be true. I mean, my predictions was that Dragon Ranger were gonna win this series, and right now I'm just trying to see, right? Rogue Warriors, they do have the potential, but can they fulfill it? Because right now it's just Dragon Ranger ahead, and your MVP, Hua Yan. Of course, it has to be him. This Clash laner was a mark of veterans here, even as a rookie coming into KPL Spring Season 2025.
The perfect employee with a KDA of 106. The disruption in the backline as he was destroying Rogue Warriors, an agent of utter chaos. If you take a look at the stat lines down there, the damage might not be too high, but the disruption factor was all there.
Yeah, look, he was a one-man army at this point because he really changed the face of the fight. He was consistently on the backlines, chasing down Lucky of all people, right? He wanted to make sure that Lucky was not able to give that win condition because he actually had the level lead. He was 15 already, had some decent items on hand as well. The universal law would have made the world's difference in damage output. Look at that, he was actually able to get the kill. But then because of this situation, Hua Yan recognized this. He said, no, there's no extra damage that's gonna come from you. We're gonna get the backlines here.
Yeah, and Hua Yan is such a technician when it comes to this, even committing his flash to get the kill onto Jian Yue. And Lucky, I mean, well, he hasn't been that lucky in this entire tournament, but you have to note that poke damage from the back, it conceives a lot of kills here because Yen and Arlie are on a tear through, but let's just see what they have to say in the game.
他这波狗没大的兄弟 ，OK， 来，红刷了，直接往上拉吧，行。 我吹到他了。曹操没闪，曹操没闪。中府你们能过来，
我们捞过来，我们捞过来，
捞过来。
我位置没漏，我位置没漏。
行 OK， 可以打环的兄弟，
可以打。江条闪吗？
江条大枪没闪的。江条死了，慢慢打，拉回来。接我，梦雨行，我在，对面有蓝，梦溪没打，中的，蓝领先，快自由发挥团战，好吧？行。来，先来买，他们来，我去打了，没抢了，小出来拼，别着急，小出来拼。超没打，翻过来打，过口子打，给他人翻过来，听到没有？行，别逼我没成，兄弟，别，我们曹操没成，我没成，曹操人也行，曹操就他，行，我能逼人，兄弟，他狗跟不上，后面跟不上，行，江条，狗没上，我给你传走了，传回去，狗没闪，老定军追不上你了，定了，看追，中路有线，兄弟，中路有线，哪一口兄弟，听到没有？哪一口？OK， 2秒大，狗没闪，能一波，我给你们来嘛，兄弟站一起，往前打，兄弟出来了，冲锋，给大了，扑大了，漂亮，
Yeah, you can hear the stress coming in from the team, right? I think they were really focused on getting a win, and it felt like the other team members didn't recognize that, hey, this is an important moment, right? They were telling them, listen to this instruction, listen, and the teammate was like, okay, we will listen.
Yeah, like he's shouting in the chat. Do you even hear me? Do you even hear me when I talk to you about this instruction? It's like, yeah, this game is important, and you can see the passion in Hua Yin, right? He was shouting orders as well, and this rookie is giving the orders, and the rest of the team, Dragon Ranger, is listening. You can tell the team synergy as at an all-time high. They can trust each other fully when they say go in, when they want to take a team fight, and Hua Yin calling the shots. It's really doing well for Dragon Ranger so far.
Yeah, clear comms is very important in team fights, right? Especially when you have 5 different players shouting different instances, because everyone has their own POV about what's the next best move, right? So Dragon Ranger, generally, I think they are on the same page, and so far, even if they're not listening to specific instructions from specific members, the way they play is pretty synergistic. They have been able to find the gaps on the side of Rogue Warriors. Right now, they just need one more gap, and it could be a 4-0 clean sweep on the side of Dragon Ranger.
Well, I mean, if it were you, right, I'm going to ask you a very hard question, kid. Do you want a 4-0 so that we can end work early, 下班, like the stream says, or do you want the ultimate battle? Because I feel the ultimate battle is much more interesting. We're gonna get a 3-3, ladies and gentlemen.
I like how you want to put me in a spot, because, you know, it makes me feel like I want to end the day early, but I'm here not to end the day early. I'm looking for total domination. So yes, 4-0 Dragon Ranger.
What? No, Dragon Ranger 4-0. Okay, but if you take a look at Dragon Ranger's draft, right, they actually still have quite a lot of things available. But on the other hand, Rogue Warriors, I feel like they have not let out a lot of themselves, right? Fly on the Guan Yu was an available option as well. They instead went for a Cao Cao, which is not exactly that much of a priority pick when you compare him to Guan Yu. Of course, provided they did not have much of a combo as well. And Byron has been taken from the side of Rogue Warriors, but they have yet to pick up the loom for themselves.
That's true. I mean, that is one concern that I have on the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming. While they have a 3-0 lead, we have definitely seen teams come back from such a big deficit, right? One example is Chongqing Wolves. They have come back from a 3-0 with a 4 consecutive win, winning the entire series 4-3, even towards that ultimate battle as well. Now, I want to point out something that I think may potentially happen. I think Rogue Warriors, they might go for that very quick early game draft, right? Get that early smash and try to end the series as fast as possible, because we are up to game number 4 now. There is a very high chance that fatigue is going to start setting in for these players. You don't want your players to be overly tired. Decisions will not be made in the best choice then.
Yeah, I mean, this is still a marathon after all, and it applies to both sides. So Rogue Warriors, they're faced with a lot of fatigue, and there's a lot of pressure coming in. Given that if you lapse at any point, Dragon Ranger Gaming are going to take the series, and this is tournament life at hand. But Dragon Ranger, they have done it before, right? Dragon Ranger Gaming, we have seen them 3-0 against Rogue Warriors. This is a lot on the line here, and Rogue Warriors, well, are they gonna let this go that easily? I don't think it is the case. I hope we get an anime battle.
Yeah, it's a test of mental mettle, right? At this point, how well do you know yourself? How well can you push through any situation here, regardless of the scoreline? Is always difficult for both teams because number one, tournament life on the line, like you said. Secondly, is look, there are now 3 matches gone. That's a total of at least 20 heroes or 25 heroes, 30 heroes gone from the pick because you are not allowed to pick these heroes again. And also bear in mind that there are bans that both teams will be looking forward to. So it's a tough situation, but it's not something that they can't overcome. And once again, Rogue Warriors, I think they have it in them. The only question is, can they do it?
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, a team that I really look up to a lot because they do have Fly in the roster as well. Shrog, he plays a mean jungle, but today they just feel like they're not in prime condition. But they have yet to show themselves so far, right? There is a possibility that they might pick up the Hai Yue, they might pick up the Lung in this game-winning draft here, right? They have to win this no matter what if they want to stay in the series.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, I think they definitely need to go for an early game draft here. Try to win the game as fast as possible and really just put a dominant performance, right? So I'm just curious to see how they want to get this done. Assassin Junglers, of course, one of the highest paced farming tools in the jungle to really snowball the game. We have not seen an Agudo come out yet. I think he's one of the fastest junglers in the KPL to be able to scour the map, get those minions, get those critters, get the EXP and gold. So maybe this could be something they could start with.
A lot of jump, a lot of sustain as well. The Agudo, the Guan Yu, the Lung, the Hai Yue, all the prime picks for Rogue Warriors that they might be cooking in their heads right now. Whether or not they have the prime mentality to do so, here are the heroes that they have picked so far. And of course, they have done spectacularly well on the side of DRG, keeping it at a 3-0 scoreline. They are at match point.
Yep, I feel like they will wrestle over the Agudo at this point unless they want to ban it out. So let's see what both teams will prio as the first ban. Master Lupan, of course, already taken by one of the teams on the side of Rogue Warriors. They will ban out the Diadea for the side of Dragon Ranger.
Yeah, Diadea, a very strong pick coming for the side of Rogue Warriors. They did use it themselves for Dragon Ranger. They don't want to be subjected to the same level of treatment. Rogue Warriors here, they are banned out from the pay as well, but they take out the Lung, so they themselves, they cannot use it. Lupan Dashi is banned out as well. Lupan himself is gone.
Yeah, they don't want to allow that mid-game spike on the Lung, right? So Dragon Ranger, they're going to look at it very differently. They pick up the Byron, one of the strongest Clash laners available in the game right now for KPL at this stage of the composition as we head into game number 4.
Rogue Warriors have to go for the S-tier picks, and S-tier picks it is, right? Guan Yu has been picked, and let's see what they go for the second one. They go for the S-tier pick as well. They go for the Arlie, very difficult to deal with. Meanwhile, Dragon Ranger, they have a lack of Clash laners, right? A lot of Clash laners have been expended. So what do they go for here, especially in the Clash lane and the mid lane, the prime roles that they have yet to fulfill? No, I mean the jungle. And jungle? Nuts.
Yeah, so at this point, look, there has to be a different mid laner. I think maybe they'll play the Garden Mo. I'm not sure. But Dolia, a lot of combinations available with the Celestial Melody. I like this pick on the Nurture because it really allows you to chase down E on this Arlie. And of course, Rogue Warriors, they do pick up the Agudo. So this is going to be a very fast-paced game coming out from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, this is their last hurrah. They got to treat every single game with the best fashion that they have. Pull out the best drafts. They're fighting for tournament life here. And they ban out more Marksman. They ban out Chano. And I'm pretty sure they're looking at more because they did take out the Lung as well. They are trying to limit the options of Mulan. This is an opportunity where you can take out the strongest member of Dragon Ranger.
I think it's a bit of a weird suggestion, but I would think that maybe Dragon Ranger can play off of Consort Yu. She's not the most prio, in fact she's one of the lowest tiered picks across, but with the protecting winds, she's definitely able to negate quite a bit of damage offered by Rogue Warriors, right? So let's see what Dragon Ranger wants to go for in this pick for their side.
Or they can go for the ticking time bomb combo as well, right? Princess Frost and Garo, if they wish to do so. That's something that we saw out of AG, take a playbook out of them. But meanwhile, Rogue Warriors, they can pick up those prio mid laners for themselves. And we do see them pick up the Princess Frost.
You know what? Why not take a page out of the AG book? The Futsu in the farm lane. Good lockdown, you get your Sage's mic onto the RD, she can't run away.
I mean, yeah, you can do that, but not everybody is evil. Oh, like Mulan, I'm pretty sure he plays his fair share of heroes, but you don't have that confidence to say, I can do it in KPL for the game-winning game. Let's do it.
That's true. Look, they pick up the Garo on the side of Dragon Ranger. Is that the best pick? It's a risk for me because if Rogue Warriors totally ignore that aggression coming in from Dragon Ranger and just completely dive Mulan, he's gonna be dead pretty quickly.
Yeah, but now they have that secondary damage dealer, right? Damage on damage. They have Heino with the Scepters of Fate going in the backline. And this is why this is a problem, because Heino can deal so much chip damage, right? You are very worried about taking the fight when the Scepter of Fate lands on you. So you have to watch your positioning at all times. So this is why Dragon Ranger, they put up the Garo and the Heino as one, because they have the long range damage together with the sustain from the Dolia, which is kind of good strat.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it as well, right? So the way that Dragon Ranger have showcased their gameplay in the previous game, it's all about putting aggression on the backline so that your own backlines can do whatever they want, right? So 1-1 is definitely going to be trying to dive the backlines, which opens up space for Dian to really just throw those Scepters of Fate, also allowing Mulan to just have free hits, not just on her basic attacks, but on the silent arrow as well. So they get the silence, they get the slow, they get the burst damage. But I'm not sure. Rogue Warriors, I like the draft a little bit better.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors draft look very good, but they always have to be worried about that ticking time bomb. That is the Heino and the Garo, right? Late game scale up, you give them enough farm, there's going to be a lot of damage flying your way.
Definitely, and I think if Rogue Warriors cannot get that initial first burst of gold coming out from the combination of Xiao A as well as Princess Frost on that Lucky, then this is once again a very quick game for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yeah, talking about Lucky, he hasn't been lucky at all in the first 3 games of the day. He was the prime target, and you can see the main antagonist of Lucky today is Hua Yin. And he will be on that Byron. So whether or not he can find an opening, that Princess Frost positioning is so important.
Yes, it is. Another point that I think they need to take really good care of on the side of Rogue Warriors is maybe give Fly a good game, right? If Fly is able to have a good game, get those early wave clears, he can definitely hold Hua Yan in lane for a while he's trying to, clear creep waves, and also stop 1-1 from getting maximum damage because he can actually pull him back into the backlines.
Yeah, 1-1 is kind of an X factor here, right? It's going to be a wall card with that Skyfall. You can actually target anyone at any time. So they have to watch out for the Skyfall at all times, especially if they don't want their backlines to be accessed.
Yeah, tournament life on the line for the side of Rogue Warriors. This has to be done. If not, Dragon Ranger Gaming will get to meet Weepwar in the next stage of the lower brackets.
We are going to find out in game number 4 today. Number 4, and Dragon Ranger have already put us here. Match point, 3-0 against Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, so I'm looking for that initial rotation, right? How fast do they rotate? Where do they rotate? And do they get the kills? This is an important play. Rogue Warriors needs to secure that first blood for themselves.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors indeed need to secure that first blood. And I'm looking at the Agudo, right? Agudo paired up with Lucky, it is going to be one of the key movements in the game. You're not going to see Liang being too often with him. Once he gets his level 4, maybe, because he has to play keep away for Yi, for the early as well, because Yi is going to require quite a lot of help if you're going to be fighting the Byron.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, Mulan also needs quite a bit of help, which is also why they're kind of funneling XP as well as gold into the hands of Mulan. Really, this is a race, right, between the two farm laners. Who gets more support, Yi or Mulan, in the farm and EXP department?
Of course, indeed, and we will see already an early rotation coming out from Heino. And this is what Heino usually does, right? You want to layer your damage as soon as possible throughout the entirety of the map, because your Scepters of Fate, you can reach that far, and your second skill with that jump, you can essentially just threaten members at a long range because they don't have that lockdown, they don't have the group up factor in the early stage of the game. And now you can secure yourself a bit of a net worth advantage, but we all know how KPL teams like to play. Bit by bit, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at them, they will try to slow their farm down, control the map so they can control the gold growth on the opposite end. And right now, Dragon Rangers seem to be doing a good job of it. They are ahead by about 500 gold. Little interactions that have benefited them, making a show right now.
Yeah, name of the game here for Dragon Ranger is to abuse range and not get caught. And as long as they can keep vision on Fly, who is the most important catcher on Rogue Warriors in the mid stage of the game. In the early stage, of course, is Strong, right? And Strong is already coming in.
Yep, they go in, and at this point, they do commit the Fate Rewind. They get the first blood. This is what they wanted on the side of Rogue Warriors. Gets the first kill onto Huayan of all people, so the shutdown will be real.
Yeah, and Strong's movement in this early stage of the game, this is where his aggression is going to be rewarded. I feel that Agudo is a very key hero to put Strong on, right? Because that aggression is kind of good for Rogue Warriors, because you want him to get the vision, you want him to get the damage, especially before that first 4-minute mark.
Yes, and also he is one of the fastest junglers in this match, right? So not only does he have quick movement abilities, he's also able to take camps really quickly. This setup coming in, I think they didn't have to, okay, they did commit that ultimate coming out from Xiao A as well. Everything to make sure that Huayan did not have a good start to this game.
I mean, cooldowns in the early stages of the game for a team that's abusing the range, I feel that Rogue Warriors, they can use them expendably, right? As long as they can secure a pickoff onto Strong and get the snowball rolling, they have to do so, right? Find any singular pick that they can do it. And luckily for them, there's not a lot of disrupt against Xiao A. Of course, Sibao, he does have that stun, which is something that you don't generally see out of Adolia, but against a Liang, it is very useful.
Yeah, not only Liang, right? He also has the ability to stop Fly as well if they get into the wrong positions. Once he has the Razor Cavalry, he can kind of stop his movement with that stun and hopefully make it safer for Dragon Ranger to either disengage or find a turning opportunity in the fights.
Yeah, for Dragon Ranger, the name of the game is to sacrifice, absorb, and play range. Rogue Warriors, they're trying to catch as much as possible. Now with this Tyrant,
Yep, it's given, right? So it's very straightforward. Rogue Warriors, there was no way that Dragon Ranger could contest. They were all out of position. A little bit too far. Nice catch. Once again, can they get a secondary kill? There is quite a bit of burst damage, but they can't do it. Here comes that Skyfall as well. It's going to be refreshed. And right now, it is going to be Lucky, who is unlucky as he gives away the first kill. And the second kill does come in. Xiao A as well, going to be taken down in quick succession. The Fate Rewind committed just to push Shuang away. And maybe they want to put more pressure in this Azure Golem.
The way that Dragon Ranger have been able to absorb, they found Rogue Warriors a bit off tempo. That ultimate coming out from Xiao A was very clutch, right? You were potentially going to get a kill on a prime target, but Rogue Warriors, they weren't in the position to force him down fast enough. They aren't in prime position, just off a bit, and that mattered to Dragon Ranger because the Skyfall came through instantly from the side of 1-1.
Yeah, and there's no turnaround capability, right? Xiao A's ultimate, yes, it does have a pretty short cooldown, but the moment you use it, you don't have much else except for your first skill, which is the barrier, and that's why they dove so hard on the side of the RG. Very simple kill, and it also gives a kill to Hua Yan, which lets him recover a little bit of the first blood gold that he gave away. So at this point, it is going to be Dragon Ranger. They have a decent lead. It's not the biggest. It's about 500 gold away. 700 gold away, in fact, to the benefit of Dragon Ranger. Let's see how this goes, because Hua Yan, I think not only has he recovered, he's also giving vital information. He can hold his own against Fly. Now with that being said, let's take a look at the rest of the map. They do get the catch as well. Can they get the damage in? One last hit. It is going to be Strong taken down on the side of Rogue Warriors. They do get the trade up here. It's a beautiful trade, in fact, for the side of for the side of Rogue Warriors. They get 3 kills in exchange for Strong.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, they actually need these trades going into the game, right? It's very, very important for them because they have that more early game scaling lineup towards that late game. They need to roll on these advantages. Meanwhile, Dragon Ranger, they can sit on this advantage all day. They can go into the late game not to be scared.
Yeah, Lucky actually gets taken out in this exchange. It's in fact out of position, did not have the save capability because there was no ultimate available for Xiao A. Now, Rogue Warriors, I think it's good to give vision on the map so they can kind of decide what do they want to do next.
And that's the scary thing about playing Princess Frost, because your spacing needs to be so important. You don't have any form of save capability, but looking at this replay here, right? Strong is getting gone on here. He manages to throw the bear, throw some form of sustain in that front line as well. Then able to figure out where Strong is. But if you're looking at the positioning of Yi, he is going for that backline damage. They are finally going for the trades. Backline for backline, not scrambling to defend their own.
Yeah, that was one of the best winters here by Lucky, right? He was actually the game changer in that fight. And at this point, they make that recovery, so they're even on gold. And in fact, in terms of map control, it looks like it is going to be Rogue Warriors who are able to put a bit more pressure. Taking a T2 on the top, that's so valuable for the side of Rogue Warriors.
Yep, T2 already done. Now 20 seconds into that Tyrant. They will try to secure it for themselves, but they're trying to look for an early skirmisher, trying to force out some form of utility, especially the bigger ones, so that they can take this Tyrant without much contest. Now, if you take a look at Fly's positioning, he's actually located for a flank.
Yep, he actually pushes them back. The refresh does come in. Quite a bit of damage, and Fly steals goes in. It's not going to be ideal for him at this point. Too much overcommitment. Skyfall committed this time on the side of Dragon Ranger. Can they get the burn damage onto him? It is Lucky. Once again, gets burned down. And all of a sudden, Rogue Warriors, they open up the map for the side of Dragon Ranger.
And Fly has been kind of off lately in terms of trying to set up for his team. It feels as if like he is trying to be that team needs, but it's forcing the team to overextend at this point.
Yeah, they were doing so well. I mean, Rogue Warriors, they had a decent map control. T2 on the top was taken. And I think Fly, he is someone who is very aware of what the possible win conditions are. But let's take a look at that. You mentioned that he was flanking from the back, but once again, there wasn't enough communication coming in. There was no follow-up coming in.
Yeah, I'm really curious to what happens in the breakdown of communication right there, because it seems as if Fly laid a perfect setup, right, for Jianyue, for Lucky to actually have the winters here on the floor. But, I mean, they were unable to convert.
Yeah, but that's the benefit of having a T1, right? At that point of time, the T1 had not fallen, and I think Rogue Warriors felt like it was too big of a risk to potentially trade a life and fight under the T1. And yeah, they were correct, because there was more than enough damage on the side of Dragon Ranger to get the kills.
Yeah, Dragon Ranger at this point, they have a lot of damage already. They shouldn't be at this lead. With their lineup, apparently, with the hero lineup, it's just extremely scary. They have damage, they have poke damage, and they have far range damage as well.
Fly, he's working hard on the sidelines as well. They're pushing them out. There is threat on the T3 on the top. but at this point, there is not enough pressure, so Dragon Ranger, they're looking for a fight. They jump in. Control actually landed. Xiao A, they did not get the kill, and right away, Shuang gets taken down. Fly is caught alone against 3 different members. They do give away Mulan though, so there is a lack of damage coming in from the side of Dragon Ranger, except for Tien. They will try to secure the freeze. Frigid Prison does come true from the side of Lucky. Can they do more? There is an opening.
Yeah, and I was highlighting the fact that YN is very good at going back to his team when this happens, but they were unable. And look at this.
Yeah, a big moment here. They might have cleared up the rest of the members. Sipao is the next to fall. Wan has to hold his own. He does manage to hold off the T3 from falling at the top. But once again, Rogue Warriors, they find a lifeline.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors have found a silver lining back into the game. Right now, they will be able to take these objectives. And of course, Dragon Ranger's lineup is still scary in the late game. So Rogue Warriors being back here puts them back at 50-50. I feel that, yeah, sure, you have yourselves an advantage. This is a God-given opportunity, right? Use it correctly. And if you take a look at this, Fly going in for that backline. He manages to take out the Garo. Mulan going down here was that far range damage that they were scared about, and they dealt with YN very well. YN eventually got the trade as well, but it was only onto Shuang.
Yep, I think, look, this game for me, if Rogue Warriors win this, it has to be off of Lucky. Lucky has been super clean with the winter this year. Sets up so many situations, but the damage over time lowers Dragon Ranger's health by so much. And this also opens up the opportunity where Yi and Xiao A were able to control Huayan like you mentioned before. And so far, this is a composition that if given the right cards, Rogue Warriors definitely can get another team wipe.
Yep, team wipe is very much appreciated at this point because Dragon Ranger, they are reaching that 12-minute mark. This Shadow Overlord will eventually be taken by Rogue Warriors. They have to apply some sort of pressure, right? That lane advantage is something that they need to exploit right now. Rogue Warriors, they need a tier 3 turret and they need to mount this high ground siege.
Yeah, they definitely need to be in sync this time. Rogue Warriors, they have an advantage. 10,000 gold in the bank of E. He is one of the highest farms in the game right now on this RD. They cannot and they must not miss this chance.
The Vanguards are falling through on sides of the lanes. They will be waiting for the tri-lane push. Rogue Warriors have begun to choke out enemy resources as well. This is a good sign for Rogue Warriors. But now, this high ground siege is the thing that will determine everything. It is harder to flank when the enemy base is there. So Fly, he has to do this perfectly.
Yep. It has to be one miracle moment coming in, but right now it is split push. That is the name of the game. They're trying to put as much damage and pressure. Oh, the freeze does come in. The stun as well. The setup is okay, but it does not get any kills on the side of Dragon Ranger. Rogue Warriors, though, they have done the good job of taking 2 tier 3s against the side of Dragon Ranger. They will back off.
Yeah, the top tier 3 turret is down for the side of Dragon Ranger. So they will have the mid and the bottom still available, right? Shadow Vanguards are still up, but Rogue Warriors got what they wanted. The inhibitor turret, the thing that makes the super creeps. Now there's constant lane pressure coming in from that top lane. Now with that, Shadow Tyrant is on the next chopping block.
Yep, right now this is an important marker. Shadow Tyrant available for the taking, but Fly, I want you to take a look at where he is flanking, looking for an opening. Huayan is going to keep eyes. Does he find his target? Right now they're going in. Gorge mobilization as well. The lockdown does come in. Splendor committed by Lucky. They cannot get the damage. Right now it's too much. 1-1 is so low. Can he get the kill? He's going to sacrifice his life. No, he makes it out. They get the kill on the Fly instead. And right now the Tyrant could be theirs for the taking. It is going to be stolen away by Shuang, but can he make it out alive? Huayan, he gets the kill as well. All of a sudden, not enough damage, not enough life on the side of Rogue Warriors. T3, so it is going to be available for the taking. Can they clear this? It will be in time.
Finally, Dragon Ranger find a semblance of a silver lining. Rogue Warriors overcommit into that battle, but still, they get the Tyrant for themselves, right? They will have that buff for the next few brief moments. And now Rogue Warriors, Yi and Lucky were unable to land the damage just by being in range. Trump, he was trying to buy the time as much as possible. If you take a look at how he was playing, he eventually got the Tyrant as well and survived for so long.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of damage coming in from Moonlan. I think that was one of the main reasons why they couldn't fight against the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming. And bear in mind, Moonlan, I think at this point should have just hit 15. So that was one of the best possible moments to be able to wipe the entire side of Dragon Ranger Gaming, but they couldn't get it done. So Rogue Warriors, now they have to be really careful about the next fight they take.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, at this point, it's still 50-50. They still have the damage. If you think about the magic and the physical damage, they have two ways going for them. But something that they really have to watch out for, something that has been a bane in their side, is the Scepters of Fate coming out from Dien, because it keeps making them reposition. It keeps forcing them into a situation where you cannot save your own teammates.
Right now, they will try for it again, fly on the backlines, but Hua-Yan does have eyes on him. Scepters of Fate are continually being dropped. They will not get the steal. Fly may be out of position. They're all rushing towards him, but at this point, he should be able to make it out safely. Razor Cavalry, not committed, but he's more than capable of running away.
And with that, they got even more chip damage on the bottom lane turret, right? Rogue Warriors, they've been doing such a great job of having that discipline, having that objective gaming. But now with the Shadow Vanguard available for Dragon Ranger, they can push the lane pressure back to Rogue Warriors. But look at this, Fly might be up to something here again.
Yeah, Moonlan just poking them out, right? There's too much damage coming out from this Garo Moonlan, and it needs to be very important for the side of Rogue Warriors to find where is this gap. Can they actually kill off Moonlan? Because that is the win condition. If you can get rid of Moonlan, get rid of Dien, that's the end of the damage coming out from Dragon Ranger.
Yeah, and Dien at this point, he does not have that much farm, right? He's only 8.7k. He's still not 6 item slots. So there's still opportunity for him to go. Rogue Warriors, they need to stop that now if they wish to do so. But at the same time, Princess Frost, she is a hard scaling hero into that late game as well.
Yeah, the best thing they have going for them on the side of Rogue Warriors is they don't have T3s taken down. In fact, there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done on the side of Dragon Ranger before they can access that crystal, right? So they have that silver lining, but they need to be careful. The later the game goes, the more damage is available for the side of Dragon Ranger. And right now, we are well into the late game timings.
Yeah, Hano finds an easier poke access compared to Princess Frost. So if you give them the same amount of farm, Princess Frost is a burst damage hero, while meanwhile Dien is a sustain damage. So Dien, with that Hano, you have a lot of sustainability in these fights. You can take these fights for days because of your low cooldowns.
Oh, Hua-Yan, he does not have eyes on Fly this time. Will have it finally now. Once again, it's a repeat. Can they actually take this Tyrant? They need the Tyrant buff to be able to win the fight. The freeze does come in. They get the Winter Ice here as well, but it's still secured by the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming at this point. It is going to be Hua-Yan. Jumps into the backlines. They get the kill onto Shuang. One member down on the side of Rogue Warriors. They start running around, but the Skyfall gets the chase in. They get the swap, but will they get the damage in? E does not survive. 2 members down for more than 30 seconds. This is 30 seconds too long. Rogue Warriors, the dream is starting to fall apart. 5 members on the side of Dragon Ranger marching down onto this mid T3. The lane is open. Can they get the kill? Fly as well, trying his best to clear the lanes, but it's not enough. Xiao A gets taken down. The crystal is wide open. There is one more minion available. They push Fly away. It is still alive. They tank for the crystal. It is going to be the end of the game. Rogue Warriors taken down as Dragon Ranger Gaming secure this game. Nobody else, but hang on. Okay, yes, it is going to be the end. DRG, they take it clean for the O.
What a statement, right? They have never dropped the game versus Rogue Warriors, and they keep that record. Dragon Ranger Gaming, they were here to play today, and of course, Rogue Warriors, they performed well as well, but just falling a bit short of the Dragon Ranger gamers today, as they will move to face off against Wave War Gaming in the loser bracket finals.
Yeah, revenge is available for DRG, but still, let's talk about the team that almost made it. This is Jinan RWXia, also known as Rogue Warriors. They gave their best, and sadly for them, it is the end of their journey.
Yep, the victory rounds will be made from the side of DRG, but we will say farewell to Rogue Warriors, of course. Later on, we will have a documentary with exposing who Rogue Warriors really are, right? Not say exposing, but we get to learn more about them and the players behind the game.
Yep, there is a story behind every player, every coach, every difficulty and every success that teams have faced in KPL. And right now, as we celebrate the victory of DRG, I think we also have to be reminded how the teams got here. So that's what the documentary will be covering. Right now, DRG, one step away. All they have to do, I mean, it's not that easy. It's just to triumph Wave Wargaming in the next lower bracket best of 7 tomorrow, and then we'll see who gets the right to go up against all gamers, AG, in the grand finals.
AG is waiting up there, man. They're marinating up there, but DRG, they have ended Rogue Warriors' 100% losers bracket run. And of course,
yeah,
the
this
man
is a tough moment.
Yeah, the man Fly right here. He's been such a very big influence in the HOK community, right? The way that he plays, he is one of the OGs of the scene as well. And with the rest of the team, I feel that they have yet to find their synergy. There's still a lot of new members that have been recently put into Rogue Warriors. They still have a shot in future tournaments as well.
Yeah, for sure. There is always a journey of growth. Sometimes it requires failure, and failing is not a problem, right? It's you do need failure to be able to learn what you're lacking, to be able to see where you can grow, and maybe that could be that push that they were looking for the next season.
Yeah, and of course, they put themselves into top 5, but of course we're gonna have the post-game stats for this later as well to break down the rest of the game after we explore the personalities of these players that we have to say goodbye to today. Rogue Warriors, you have done well on the stage.
So, I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, right? Because not only were they given a 3-0 previously, today in a best of 7, it's a 4-0 dominant fashion, actually. They really couldn't find that winning strategy, could not find a synergy against the likes of Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Let's just find out more about them in this documentary.
大家都说我是最高的3，但是23年的时候，我那时候就感觉到对抗路的玩家是层出不穷的。 所以我在想，那最高的山，那我现在在悬崖边上也是最高的悬崖。
那个悬崖边上是什么样的一个感觉？
当时那个什么 DPC 很火吧，我让他们去查，今天我们打 AG 多少胜算，几乎是不可能赢。我就跟他们说，我们有被动的，要北伐开始了。 一定要最后一名才行，要出发被动了。
2位久经沙场的老将，1位日臻成熟的良才，2位转会新人，这是今年春天的济南 RW 侠。
兵线依旧还存在，点掉水晶，让我们恭喜北京微博，可以直接点掉水晶，让我们恭喜深圳 KLG。
100多天没有上首发，没有打比赛，然后上来了还没拿到首胜。 就当时特别难过，有点自责吧。
那真的会心思难安，也在想，就是为什么会输这么难看嘛？或者
如果第1轮掉币的话，后面就第2轮就没有上 S 的可能性了嘛。
一波结束，让我们恭喜济南 RW 侠3比1断掉了成都 AG 超奥会的连胜，踏进了 A 组的门槛。
爱左右买的鞋。
为什么牛子给你买这双鞋？
因为我赢了 AG， 给奖励我的。
跟牛子说，我做到了，你给我买双鞋。就这样，最后是真做到。
我说你 BP 做好一点，让我们轻松赢了，我就给你买一双鞋。 就那天不错，真的是发挥的还可以啊，3比1。
靠努力赢来的鞋子也带来了运气。那场比赛之后，这双幸运之鞋就伴随着济南 RW 侠的每一场比赛。
恭喜济南 RW 侠！恭喜济南 RW 侠！让2追2！
恭喜济南 RW 侠！
刑天教练有自己的制胜秘诀，每次比赛前，他都会使出这组制胜3件套。
赛前一定要去吃我们附近的一家快餐，因为他之前觉得吃这个能赢。
在固定那个时间点回去刮胡子，
以及叫纪录片团队来拍摄。
点掉水晶，让我们恭喜济南 RW 侠！
还有那个叫虚伪的节奏。
他连招我都知道，他上一个连招放开我就知道他下一个连招要接。
他是先给你上播压力，后面说没事，你们都很强。
不是他在房间里，他在那里肆意的输出，我一句话都不敢说，我就低头沉默，我就等他去场外。
然后一到赛场上面就立马说没事的，没事的，打得很好的，就是各种哄你。
这就是济南 RW 侠。如果把他们比作一个家庭，那么在这个家里有5个懂事的孩子和需要被宠爱的刑天。去年夏季赛对这个家来说是悲情的，
所有的赛都没有冠军，最好的也就小 A 的3强。我跟他共同努力，
是有希望，但是还差一点。
就是那种明明可以更好的，但是没做到。
就是有这个能力，但夺冠的概率就是很大。
差一点点，真的就差那么一点点。
冠军往往是环环相扣的水到渠成。去年夏季赛的季军，就是一点点偏差所导致的结果。
吴双说了一句话，其实以前他从来不会说的，他说明年拿冠军靠我。
1年前、2年前的话，我不会说这样的话，因为我这个人就比较保守吧，当时对，就是可能慢慢的就变了。经过1、2个赛季的也说沉淀吧，每个打职业都很想拿这个冠军。
我经常跟我家大爷这么说，我说22岁了以后打野好没人拿冠军啊，我说你还有2年，我说我还在享受你2年的巅峰期。我算一下，正好他19岁，如果打10年的话，他刚好21，巨搞笑。
也看到你旁边应该是想追被拆火了，对，跑5分钟单的，他们先把他杀了。
今年是 Fly 职业生涯的第8年，2年前他给自己定下了一个10年之约，是跟赛场的约定，也是跟自己的较劲。
没想过这8年的时间过得这么快，既然你选择了这样一条艰苦的路，那这条路注定不好走，就是现在的济南 RW 侠。
真有不能输的理由啊！
绝对不能输啊！只要那场赢了，后面都有机会啊，无所谓的呀。
过去开了个大招，然后残皮交出闪现往回退了一手，在太真一个战杀到了4个人，开了个火，但是 Fly 又进去了，一技能调2个，然后紧接着公孙力进去收尾，一波3连决胜，让2追3 ，Fly 的8周年。
我决定打10年的话，也是才第5年、第6年的时候才决定的。有时候也会问自己，就是到底怎么才能坚持到现在的？
人生就是这样，当你回头看时，才会知道自己走了多远的路。可当你步履不停，走得足够远时，却又不敢回头。
那你敢回头吗？回头看？
我也不太敢往回头看呀，回头看那步又要焦虑了。把时间线拉长，下一个冠军远远比前8个重要的呀。从转会的那一刻，就已经化整为零了。
在纪录片《Free Solo》中，主人公 Alex 有一个攀登者定律。攀登过程中， 既不能过多回头看，看了会后怕一路走来的艰险陡峭，也不能向前看，毕竟还有这么长的路要挑战。这和 Fly 的职业生涯体验极其相似，也是告诉赛场上的所有职业选手，不必纠结过去，也不要焦虑未来，专注当下，才能走得更远。
你让我现在看，我现在肯定不看，我确实不太敢看。万一他跟我说完了，打到第9年就已经倒下了。
命运从来不会偏爱提前揭晓答案的攀登者。KPL 的聚光灯下也没有安全区，因为这里本就是造梦者与陨落者并立的悬崖。
恐惧，你永远不知道，就像干我们这行的人，我敢说几乎95%的人都不知道自己不干这行能干嘛，这不恐惧吗？那一定要想办法留下来啊！我也问过这一句话，我成绩不好，你会换了我？他说会。
职业选手都会被放弃，就是比如说你首发被下了，就是到替补，但你自己不能放弃自己，你才有机会重新再回到这个赛场。
就是没有一点信心了吧，感觉自己谁都不如，就是我比谁都比不上，我是一个随便都可以被替代的人。
那你看，因为那会儿真的从来没有这么质疑过自己吧。
身为一个老的选手，如果知道自己没有价值，可以被替换那一刻，我就知道在悬崖边上那一节。
济南 RW 峡的每个人都在悬崖边上向极限的自己发出挑战。他们用1年的时间耕耘、重组、轮换、打破重建。他们又用1年的时间从无缘季后赛到联赛季军。他们有着对这个赛场最大的诚意。
恭喜济南 RW 峡！恭喜济南 RW 峡！再向前一步。
就是你觉得通往山顶的路一定是笔直的吗？
我觉得一定不是，绝对会有很多弯弯绕绕，不可能有一条笔直的路。跟人生成长一样，怎么可能会有一条笔直的路给你走呢？
成长不是赛场对你的帮助，真正的成长其实是赛场对你的厌恶。他厌恶你对抗时间、对抗困境的坚韧，所以总用失败折磨你，但又给你重整旗鼓的能力。而这个过程，你能做的只有专注当下。这也是 Fly 用漫长职业生涯写给现在的和后来者的赛场绿皮书。
珍惜当下，享受每1分钟，每一场比赛，每一条龙，每个兵线，每个队线，每个对手。
感觉自己要成长，对，要打好，不能拖队伍后腿嘛。
其实我是愿意，就是为我这个队伍做出任何改变的。
自己一定要相信自己，然后不要放弃自己是最重要的。
就是游戏还没输嘛，没什么好慌的。我们都是不服输的人，
每一次都要拼到极限。
我们要做到王者荣耀倒闭，要达到 KPL 没有为止。
我觉得很多时候能坚持下去，是因为心里面还有遗憾。所以我就说，有的时候人真的很靠信念。我有时候就会有这种信念感。
努力肯定是会有付出的，然后除了牺牲一下自己的自由，没有东西可以牺牲了。
我的天！他直接预判你的位置打，又是决议，直接拿到了决议，直接侧面闪现进去站出来，把子焕给秒掉了。恭喜济南 RW 峡3-0一场大胜，硬点掉了血迹，让我们恭喜济南 RW 峡，恭喜济南 RW 峡，恭喜济南 RW 峡，恭喜济南 RW 峡。
我是不会后悔的。有可能在第10年没有拿到这个冠军的话，也算给自己有了一个交代吧，就不会说在3年前或者是在4年前我已经不打了。我觉得那个是一定会后悔的。我又成长了，
在 Fly 过去的8年时光里，藏着 KPL 一代代选手的未完待续，与下次再见。10年之约是否可以如约，远没有这段热血的经历重要。在最好的年华中攀登，跌倒，再起身，再攀登。当你真的抵达终点时，会发现，最宝贵的不是抵达，而是在抵达之前所经历的一切。每一颗沙粒，每一阵微风，已经化为你灵魂中最坚硬的部分，叫做无悔。
好，欢迎来到赛后采访，我是英凯，今天要请到的是 Fly， 来跟大家打招呼吧。
Hello， 大家好，我是锦阳门峡的 Fly。
欢迎 Fly。其实这个赛季的比赛给大家看下来的感觉是有点跌宕起伏的，大家的印象可能是忽上忽下。你经历这么多年的一个比赛的历练，你觉得这个赛季有什么不一样吗？
这个赛季其实跌宕起伏主要是在常规赛吧，第1轮、第2轮，然后先输2场。然后在季后赛的时候，其实这个问题还是得到解决嘛。然后前面几局我们也开始拿分了。所以就感觉跌宕的点可能就在常规赛吧。
其实有一步一步去解决问题，这是比较良心的方面。除此之外呢，我们说今天的这个比赛，包括从之前的季后赛来看啊，给大家这一传又一传，打出了非常多的信心和期待。但是今天给大家有一些落差了，会有什么样的一些变化？在场上会感觉到不太对劲今天。
可能第一场比赛的话，因为我们比较优势嘛，然后被翻盘了，然后那一把的话，可能是整体对于我们来说可能是比较难受吧。因为在前面的比赛、前面季后赛的时候，我们第一场基本就很快的优势就赢下来了嘛。然后那一把就输了，然后导致后面其实大家的一些情绪都不是最满的点嘛。所以就导致后面的话就打得越来越差。
还是会有波动、有影响，但无论如何，其实在这个赛季，我觉得过程给我们带来了非常多精彩的画面，包括在你刚刚讲到说相对动荡的这个常规赛里面，有非常多重要的比赛出现在了我们的赛场上。包括你之前讲到的说伊斯大那场比赛是有不能输的理由，当时是除了要过你的关键节点以外，当时大家还有什么更多的期待吗？
什么？
就是在打伊斯大那场比赛的时候，常规赛我记得让2追3。
当时主要是自己的刚好一个8周年嘛，然后再输的话，那可能就要去 B 组了嘛，所以当时在台上就说有不能输的理由。
就大家也是找到了触底反弹的这个点，包括这个赛季如果说谁能够击败这样强大的冠军 AG 的话，其实你们那场比赛是给大家看到了非常不一样的这个状态和画面。那场比赛还给教练买了鞋，当时是一个什么情况？那场打完之后？
当时就教练说打 AG 交给他嘛，他说赢了让我给他买双鞋，我说行啊，然后就给他买，然后他就说给我买个皮带，然后我们就
互相交换礼物，
对，就交流了一下，然后就这样子。
那场比赛打完之后对队伍的影响有多重要？
感觉对队伍还是比较重要吧，因为在那个阶段也是连着输了2场嘛，那一场其实算是一个转折点吧。
其实已经来了RWBA相当一段时间了，我觉得现在的一个成绩是一个4强，我觉得RWBA已经逐渐稳固了自己在季后赛成为了一个强有力的竞争者的这个地位。把时间线拉长，你怎么看待现在大家队伍的状态？包括往长远去看，你也讲到了大家的巅峰期逐渐来临了。
往常来看的话，我觉得算是一件好事吧，因为成绩逐渐的稳定。就只需要在未来再遇到像今天这种比较关键的比赛，然后大家就是更稳一点，然后把状态打得更满一点，可能就是有机会去到决赛吧。
因为已经离那个舞台非常近了，包括今天镜头频繁给到桌子上的金色羽，也是大家更加向往的地方。这个4强的成绩，你觉得对于下赛季来讲是大家的一个新起点吗？
对于下赛季来讲的话，可能就是要更往前一步吧。更往前一步。
一定要更往前一步。包括刚才我们讲到了这么长时间的积累，你也讲到了那个在最高悬崖上的感受。往前往后看，左顾右盼，可能并不会带来更好的体验。专注当下，更好的去向前走，好吗？继续加油！感谢Fly的分享，马上交还给评论席。
what a documentary and what an interview, right? For those of you that do not know, will try and explain as much of the documentary for you guys, but mainly the summary is it is about Fly's journey throughout the entire KPL. He has been here for 8 years and he has set a 10-year expiration date, 10-year date for himself to exit the KPL, to exit the scene as well. And for him, I mean, if you take a look at his past accolades, right? When he was in Wolves, when he was in QG Happy as well, he was always the top few. And for him, there was always a reason to keep winning as well. And he just feels like there is going to be a fall-off point because for the rest of his teammates, for the rest of his batchmates, there was a fall-off point as well. And he's just hoping that he can keep on playing and go on further in the tournament.
Yeah, adding on to that, I think there was also a portion where they were talking about Rogue Warriors' journey is not been an easy time for them because they have been struggling to get even into the big leagues, the finals positions, and this has been an achievement for them, right, to come into this. And the overarching concept and message that was sent over was the fact that, look, the destination is always beautiful and everyone's focused on the destination, but it's truly less of the destination, it's the journey that you take, the company that you have as you make this transition from where you started into where you want to end up at as well. So I think it's a brilliant story of growth for both Rogue Warriors as well as Fly himself. It's been a long journey. Of course, his ultimate goal in this 10-year duration is to be.
好，欢迎来到赛后采访，我是殷凯，今天邀请到的是梦兰来跟大家打招呼吧。
Hello， 大家好，我是佛山第2届梦兰。
好的，恭喜梦兰今天拿下比赛的胜利啊！今天是战胜了一个1穿3的队伍，你们现在也1穿3了，你觉得队伍今天的状态表现怎么样？
就因为那个这一周赛程比较赶，然后队伍状态还是很好。
哦，你喜欢这种紧凑的感觉吗？不会觉得累吗？
要是那个状态好的话，就不会觉得累；要是状态差的话，可能打2场就累了。
所以说，那个因为明天要很紧的就要去打微博啊，时间很紧。你觉得这个赛程对你来讲是很有利的法？大家现在状态不错哈。
就我们队那个比较年轻嘛，然后也不怕这种
也不怕这种压力。确实，大家会发现第2季身上有个特点，无论现在的状态如何，在大部分的时候，大家好像都笑盈盈的，这是你们队伍独特的一种松弛感吗？
因为我们那个俱乐部压力不大吧，然后相处也很融洽，然后就这样。
你觉得是跟你的性格有关系吗？因为现在你是老大。
就大家那个我和我的队友教练那个性格都非常开朗嘛，然后就互相传染。
互相传染。今天你讲到了教练，今天教练的战术我们也观察到有非常多的这个进步的地方啊。先说说你们这个公孙离，哎，你们也会 A 级经济学了，吃的爽不爽？
说实话，这个比 A 级那个更猛，因为这个是打野吃的更加爽。他拿我发育路吃线不带打野刀，这种吃的更多。
所以实际上关注点给到打野反而比你的关注点要给的多，是吗？在你们这个逻辑里？
打野比较爱研究吧，然后是天才。
天才打野。那我们说今天啊，又是战胜了阿尔德侠的鲁班父子。其实这套阵容很难有队伍击败，你们是打败了他们2次。哇，这套阵容你们是有什么样的获胜的诀窍吗？怎么那么有信心？
就没想那么多吧。然后其实最近打那个鲁班父子胜率也挺低的，然后就放手干。
我怎么感觉你有凡尔赛的意思？但是你那把狄仁杰士好像一打开发现，哎，最肉的是个射手，好像现在的这个环境也在发生改变，大家都去切对面射手，让自家射手活着就行。你觉得这种打法适合自己吗？
如果就队友要保的话，我可能会躲起来输出；如果队友不保我的话，我可能会跟着一起冲。
你现在也有自适应的调整，反正最好的是能把这个伤害量打上。但我也刚才也观察到了，这个 MVP 拿到了之后，你有一个很帅的动作，但是我不太理解，是你自己设计的吗？是什么意思呢？
就当时这么拍的嘛，然后就
拍脑袋，就一拍脑袋就想到了，表达的一种很聪明的感觉，是吗？
当时这么拍，可能那个导演给的意思就是这个吧。
是导演的意思啊，太时尚了。包括我们会发现第2季的比赛，好像你们特别有信心去打后期，这是你们现在会有更多的底气的吗？在这件事情上？
就队友那个巅峰分都比较高，然后手法都非常在线，然后也不怕后期，就怕 前期嘎掉。
现在就是只要这一事情能忍住，后面大家都贼有信心。
是的，
哎，今天因为之前我听到这个上一次采访的是花园的这个偶像是 Fly 嘛，确实是今天对抗到了，还战胜了他。他今天状态有什么不一样吗？你感觉？
就感觉非常沉稳吧，然后。一个新人这么猛，说实话不太像新人。
你那个时候也差不多是这个样子，是吧？
我那个时候没他这么猛。
你还觉得他更猛一筹？我的天，不得了！但是你要说到这个经历，其实你很早以前就已经来到了决赛的舞台了。现在大家已经逐渐离这个位置特别近，一步之遥啊，就要到达决赛的舞台。你觉得现在大家的这个新的小伙伴们，在临近这个时刻，大家会紧张吗？大家的状态调整怎么样？
就目前打起来的时候啊，还是不太紧张。虽然说都很想去，但还要那个再接再厉，沉稳拿下。
再接再厉，沉稳拿下，好吧？现在大哥训话已经出来了，期待你们明天能够这个松弛的拿下比赛，好好的发挥，好吧？好的，好，继续加油！我们现在交给评论席。
And that was the interview with the big brother of DRG, Moonlan, aka Menglan. And of course, he's very happy with his team and the attitude that his team has developed, right? They're a very happy-go-lucky team and they didn't feel a lot of pressure. The attitude towards the game is much more calm. And he says maybe it's because they're young, right? They're young, they don't really feel the pressure too much. And of course, him being the big brother, him calling the shots as well, he feels kind of happy about that.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of confidence coming in against Weibo Gaming tomorrow. So I think that's, at least for DRG fans, that's something they can be happy about. And at the same time, right, it puts up this level of excitement and this expectation because they crushed their competition today, 4-0. Can they do it against Weibo Gaming?
And it is not an easy opponent as well, but looking at the past stats, for DRG versus Weibo Gaming, right? They actually took them on in a BO5 and they got the series 3-2 as well. So definitely they have past victories. But of course, a key thing that he said in the interview as well is they're just gonna take it one step at a time. And of course, they're not gonna care too much about who the opponent is. It's more about who they are.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great attitude to bring into the matchup tomorrow. It's going to be a tough one nonetheless. And of course, we still have the stats from the game itself. I think we'll run through about what really went right for the side of Dragon Ranger Gaming and what could have gone even better for the side of Rogue Warriors Esports Club.
Yeah, and today it has been 4-0, but let's take a look at the stat lines. I mean, Rogue Warriors, they put the farm on the correct targets, right? It's on Yi at this point, but Dragon Ranger, they spread out the farm and it was a ticking time bomb. There was a lot of spread out damage and sustain coming out from the Dolia Garo Hainokam.
Provided a lot of room for them to play around, right? Take a look at the damage. Mulan, 104,000, the definite win condition for their side.
Yeah, 104,000 on the Garo, left untouched. And of course, Rogue Warriors, they are trying to do that, right? They are trying to go with Fly in the back line on this Guan Yu to try and disrupt this Garo as much as possible. But yet, they defended them so well. The counterplays coming out from this man right here, 1-1, on the Neza. He has the Skyfall, and it was done so professionally.
Yeah, and also the mid laners were just doing a lot of work. I think Dian did really well, but it's also his opponent, Lucky, that really tried to change the situation. There were a couple of moments where Mulan was definitely in danger, and it was thanks to Lucky.
Yeah, definitely they are we're in a lot of danger, but yet they managed to come out unscathed so many times. But mind you, this might be a 4-0, but every single game was a nail-biter, right? It led to mistakes, and Dragon Ranger were punishing those mistakes. But MVP of the game had to go to DRG Huayan, who did an amazing job on the Byron with an amazing scoreline and amazing disrupt in the backline as well.
Yep, he always had his eyes on Fly, and for those of you that don't know, he is a massive fan. His idol is actually Rogue Warriors Fly. So to be able to best one of his idols in the match, it was a big moment for him, but the way he did it was so clean as well.
And if you take a look at this, one of the early mistakes gone wrong, right? Him flashing forward, getting that knock up into 2 enemies to punish that mistakes. That was an instant reaction coming out from the side of DRG Huayan. And can you believe it? It is only his first appearance here.
Yeah, I mean, in the season, it's really crazy, right? He not only made the situation where they had to land skills on him, he also protected his farm laner Moonlan as a byproduct because of him keeping eyes on Fly consistently in this match.
Yeah, and once again, the punish with the flash forward onto Agudo. He manages to find these clutch situations where he punished the lapse in concentration coming out from DRG. And DRG, they were going all out. They had all tier S picks. If you think about their lineup, it's an extremely scary lineup, but yet he's able to find the gaps every single time.
Yep, they were trying to find the position of Moonlan every single time on the side of Rogue Warriors, but they had to be consistently stopped by the side of Huayan at the same time, right? Doing so well to protect this last cannon minion, right? The Ballista was one of the main reasons why they won this series as well.
And this is a very good presence of mind from such a young player. And I feel that Huayan is one of the players that we should watch out for in the next few matches to come as well. Of course, we are approaching the grand finals very, very soon. And who's there in the grand finals waiting for everyone? It is all gamers, but not before Weibo Gaming get a shot at going against Dragon Ranger Gaming once again.
Yeah, very important match tomorrow. It's going to be a best of 7 once again. Will we get a clean sweep? I don't think so. To be honest, I think both teams are very well matched against each other. Like you said just now in the previous meeting, it was a 3-2 scoreline, right, in a best of 5. Of course, going to the way of DRG Den. Now, history, yes, it does have a habit of repeating itself, but this time it's a best of 7.
Yeah, best of 7 scoreline. And now after today, I mean, DRG, they have played 13 BO7s and they have won 8. So that's a very scary scoreline to go against because not a lot of teams have that BO7 experience. But DRG, of course, they are a very new team as well, right? They have picked up 3 new members and they have let go of 3 old members as well. But let's just take a look at today's results once again as DRG take a clean sweep against Rogue Warriors.
Yep, this puts them in a big position. They'll be going up against Beijing Weibo Gaming tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Once again, winner of it all will be going up against AG in the grand finals on the 10th of May.
And these are the point standings so far. AG still remain at the top. And if you take a look at our friends, the Rogue Warriors today, they finish at a respectable 4th place, means securing their top 4. So this will mean we might see them in the ACL. I mean, we are going to see them in the ACL. So they are going to have a shot at KWC as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big moment. And this is what is happening today. So quite a few kills coming in. Look, Rogue Warriors, I think they have occupied majority of these positions. It shows you how much potential they have realized over the course of this tournament. And it's really important that they do well in the next coming season.
And of course, Tien still leading the damage charts. And he is one of the members that is so deadly to watch out for. But if you look at the number of kills, they are all tied, right? All at 6 kills for the number of team kills.
Yep, not much changes there. Now, right now, it's going to be the number of assists. Moonlan coming in with 6. And we'll take a look at the next stat as well. This is going to be the total amount of damage. Tien now stands at number 1. I don't think there was any change at 170 over 1,000 in team fights.
It increased. So his stat line got even better. He got further into number 1. And this is the CC timing. And definitely we have members of Rogue Warriors up there as strong as number 2. This is one of the stat lines that I was really impressed about. But of course, at number 1 is from Wolves Esports.
Yep, so tomorrow it's gonna be the decider match. Beijing Weibo Gaming going up against Forsan DRG, Dragon Ranger Gaming. Which of these two teams will have the glory, the honor of going up against AG to claim that potential position as number 1 of KPL in spring season 2025?
Another game on the line here. Oh my god, I am so excited for what's going on tomorrow. I hope you guys have enjoyed the game so far for the KPL Spring Season 2025. I gotta say, I'm having a great time here. Finally, the games have not disappointed.
Yep, I mean, there's a variety of picks coming in, there's always new strategies, and the way that they control the game is really so much different, right? For those of you that have just been newly introduced to KPL, right, Kings Pro League, this is the number 1 league in the region. And of course, with that being said, a lot of the teams across the globe have been taking strategies, but we are at the source. This is where the champions are made, and right now we're looking for the champions of spring season 2025. Now, if you have any questions on the drafts, the heroes, I think we have covered quite a few. We have introduced like Chang'e, which has not been shown in the English broadcast just yet. Today's debut appearance did not have the best result, but yeah, it does show you the potential of this hero.
Yeah, there's a lot of new picks, fresh strategies, new combinations coming out in KPL every single day, right? There's an evolution to this game that we are all looking forward to. But of course, tomorrow we are looking forward to Beijing Weibo Gaming going up against the winners of today's game, Dragon Ranger Gaming.
Yep, and bear in mind, regardless of who makes it over there, AG are killable, AG does bleed, so maybe there's a chance they have the momentum to come in and take it all in this end of the season, KPL Spring Season 2025. It's been great, it's been your favorite kind of tofu. With me has been Moman. We will hope to see you again tomorrow for our next Best of 7.
See ya, guys!
Strangers to the fallout, it's what got us here. Ever changing, some chameleon, blood, sweat, and tears. We'll never make it if we fall to everything that brings us down. With a comeback is now. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers start to line. We don't bow to fear. Blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers start to lie. We don't bow to fear. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what to the fallout. It's what got us here. Ever changing, some chameleon. Blood, sweat, and tears.